Chapter 259. Lan Shi's eyelids drooped unconsciously, looking at the two of them who seemed to be a match made in heaven. A trace of jealousy flashed across his eyes. How could they be so outstanding and so happy? Both of them were so rich, talented, and had such an enviable background. Even a world-renowned scientist was their relative. But Lan Shi suddenly realized something. How could he have such a thought? How could he be so easily envious of others? But why didn't he come from such a good family? Jealousy was a sin, an innate human nature. When one saw others doing well, they would be envious. But when they couldn't get what they wanted, it would turn into jealousy. After finishing their meal, the three of them strolled around the mall before returning to school. Wang Lan and the other two ate and drank to their heart's content. But far away, Sun Li, who was a Takashi Hoshi researcher, was in a bad mood. There were 600 new students this year. Compared to previous years, there were more than 70 students taking the battlefield medicine elective. Right after class, Sun Li excitedly went to the office to look through the signboards and select the new student she liked. But as she flipped through the materials, Sun Li's face grew darker and darker. By the time she reached the last signboard, Sun Li's face was filled with a cold sneer. Did you really take my words for granted? How dare you not take my class when I recruited you? Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu said their goodbyes as soon as they entered the school. Walking along the dreamy main road of the school, his hair fluttered in the warm breeze. It was a comfortable feeling. In this kind of afternoon, he should have taken a nap. But there was only half an hour left before class, so he couldn't take a nap. Suddenly, Wang Lan stopped in his tracks. Somehow, he felt a sense of trepidation. What's going on? Did Duan Mui make a move? Wang Lan, are you Wang Lan? A girl who looked like a senior ran toward Wang Lan from afar and sized him up. Yes, you are. Hello, I'm a fourth-year support student. Well, Director Sun of the medical department wants you to go see her. Director Sun? Who is it? Why are you looking for me? Sun. Director Sun. You should have seen him before, right? He's the one who recruited you. Oh, I remember now. In Wang Lan's mind, a female teacher wearing a sexy, tight-fitting dress appeared. Her beautiful wavy hair left a deep impression on him. Do you know why you're looking for me? I'm not sure. You should go quickly. Director Sun's temper isn't very good. If you're late, you'll suffer. Following the beautiful senior, Wang Lan arrived at the medical center. The students here were all wearing white coats, just like the doctors in hospital. The seniors who walked past Wang Lan also lowered their heads to exchange knowledge. Even when they saw Wang Lan, they treated Wang Lan like he was invisible. He was then brought to the third floor, which was made up of countless laboratories. The students inside were either observing the test tube reagents or recording the data displayed on the instrument. The strong scientific atmosphere made Wang Lan almost think that he had run into a medical research institute. Director Sun, Wang Lan is here. Come in. A cold voice came from inside. The senior gave Wang Lan a look that said, You're on your own. Then, she pushed Wang Lan into the office. The office was very large. 3 of the walls were lined with shelves, and the shelves were densely packed with bottles and jars that Sun Mo didn't recognize. Student Wang Lan, we meet again. Sun Li propped up her chin and looked at Wang Lan teasingly. She stuck out her sexy tongue and licked the corner of her lips. I remember telling you that I hoped you'd sign up for the battlefield medical course. You went back on your word. Hello, Ms. Sun. I don't remember saying yes. Sun Li slowly stood up and walked over to Wang Lan. She looked into Wang Lan's eyes and said, You didn't refuse. I thought you agreed. You've awakened the Takashi Hoshi innate talent, but you didn't sign up for the battlefield medical course. Give me a reason. I think that my Takashi Hoshi innate talent is suitable for the battlefield. My Takashi Hoshi innate talent can heal injuries very quickly. It can even reconnect organs and reconnect limbs. To be frank, as long as they don't die on the spot, my Takashi Hoshi innate talent can completely heal them. Wang Lan straightened her body and looked straight ahead as she spoke. This teacher of his gave him a very dangerous feeling. Wang Lan had wanted to express his feelings tactfully, but under Sun Li's gaze, Wang Lan unconsciously blurted out his true thoughts. Is that so? Sun Li gently adjusted Wang Lan's collar. What about now? Wang Lan's expression changed the moment Sun Li finished speaking. The life hymn activated automatically, and a hazy light rose from Wang Lan's body. In the blink of an eye, a green light appeared within the white light around Wang Lan. About 10 seconds later, the white light around him turned milky white once more. Wang Lan's body also recovered. Teacher Sun, what do you mean? Is poisoning a student something that a teacher like you should do? That's right. Your innate talent is quite good. You only need 10 seconds to cure the poison. Thank you for the compliment. But do you know that many people will die within 30 seconds after being poisoned? If there are 30 infected soldiers in front of you, how are you going to ensure your battlefield medical treatment? Wang Lan's expression changed slightly. Your innate talent is indeed very effective in healing injuries, but what about viruses? I'm not talking about viruses as a whole. They're both diseases and poisons. Do you think that Takashi Hoshi innate talent is to treat the injuries of your teammates? Those who treat injuries are called quack doctors, not Takashi Hoshi innate talents. In this world, other than physical injuries, there's another type of injury that is even more powerful and has a wider area of effect. That is Takashi Hoshi poison. Takashi Hoshi poison is never targeted at a single target. Once a Takashi Hoshi poison appears, it will sweep through a large area. Is your innate talent good enough? This situation is extremely rare, right? There are currently 170,000 species of mutated beasts in the world. 20,000 of them are poison-type mutated beasts. These mutated beasts produce 120,000 types of Takashi Hoshi poison. Of the 120,000 types of Takashi Hoshi poison, 50,000 of them can kill a Takashi Hoshi innate talent within 30 seconds. Of course, the stronger Takashi Hoshi innate talent will be able to resist for a longer period of time. However, the stronger ones are only at the galaxy realm and above. There are close to 3 million Takashi Hoshi innate talents in the Jade State, and 90% of them are below Nebula. Let me show you a battlefield simulation now. In front of us is a poisonous fog, and behind us is the city we have to protect. Countless Takashi Hoshi innate talents are charging at the poisonous beasts without regard for their own lives. On the other hand, they only have 30 seconds to fight. As a Takashi Hoshi innate talent, you can only choose to save 1 out of 10 of your comrades on the battlefield. How would you feel at that time? Can I avoid this kind of situation if I learn from you? You should have seen many laboratories on your way here. You should have seen them doing research, right? Yes. Of the 120,000 types of Takashi Hoshi poison recorded by humans, we have only developed 20,000 antidotes for Takashi Hoshi poisons. However, if we encounter a Takashi Hoshi poison that has already been developed as an antidote, our soldiers will no longer have to worry about killing the mutated beasts and protecting our homeland. This is the benefit of learning battlefield medicine. Even if we encounter a brand new Takashi Hoshi poison on the battlefield, we can analyze the Takashi Hoshi poison and come up with an antidote for it. Even if we can't treat the poison specifically, we can at least preserve their lives. Many people without medical talent are throwing themselves into battlefield medicine. As a Takashi Hoshi innate talent, what reason do you have not to take my class? Look at what you've chosen. Advanced Astral Force? Biogenetic Engineering? Cosmic Energy? You're really good at retirement. These are all subjects that a bunch of old pedants study in their laboratories. What? You're already preparing for retirement before you even start working. Wang Lan was completely speechless after hearing Sun Li's words. He just didn't know that there were poisons on the battlefield aside from injuries. After all, even if it wasn't for the sake of being a battlefield nanny, it was for the sake of increasing one's survivability on the battlefield. Teacher, I was wrong. Please tell me what to do. I've already told you so much, and you still don't know what to do? Sun Li looked at the elective application form on her desk. But I've already filled in 4 electives. You have to take at least 4 electives. It's not like you can only take 4. What's wrong with taking 1 more? The main class is usually in the morning, and the electives are in the afternoon. Our teaching schedule is 1 class every 2 days so that students can stagger their electives. We'll be teaching the same thing for both days. Oh, After filling out the application form, Sunli stroked Wang Lan's cheek with a smug look on her face. Why didn't you behave earlier? Why did you have to force me to get angry? Don't you know that anger is a woman's greatest enemy? You're blaming me for this? Remember to come to class tomorrow afternoon, Sunli reminded Wang Lan before he left. There was a school opening ceremony in the afternoon, as well as a class meeting. Classes wouldn't start until tomorrow. On his way to class, the phone in his pocket suddenly rang. Pulling out, he saw that the Heavenly Sword Bureau had granted him A-level access. With this level of access, Wang Lan could freely access the Heavenly Sword Bureau's information. Wang Lan quickly entered the internal department of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Wang Lan easily entered the medical library of the Bureau through identity verification. Then, she found a sealed file of Ma Chu-Chu, a third-year student who committed suicide in her dormitory in the early part of the 17th year. The sealed file was similar to what Ming Yi had told him. It was a classic case of a couple being forced to break up and then committing suicide. However, the man's name made Wang Lan feel that things weren't as simple as they seemed. Ma Chu-Chu's girlfriend was actually Duanmu Yi. After Ma Chu-Chu's suicide, the school quickly suppressed the matter, and the Heavenly Sword Bureau quickly came to a conclusion. It took only 3 days for the matter to be resolved. It was almost as if someone had arranged everything so perfectly. Given the power of the Duanmu family, it wouldn't have been difficult to suppress the death of a student from an ordinary family, especially since Ma Chu-Chu had indeed committed suicide. But there were many ways to commit suicide. Had she not been forced to do so, who would be willing to commit suicide if not for the fact that they had nowhere else to go? Chapter 260. Students, if you are a support, regardless of whether you are the star power recovery type, the recovery type, or the recovery type, your existence is to provide more powerful combat power for the team. Now, there's a problem. Almost all of your teammates are dead, and only 1 or 2 are left. But in front of you, there's a powerful force. Now, there's a choice in front of you. Either you do your best to help the remaining 2 teammates, or you let your teammates give you a chance to retreat. What would you choose if you were given this choice? Is there need to ask? How can we be deserters? Teacher, don't look down on us just because we are girls. Takashi Hoshi are only warriors. This student, yes, the one with brown hair and glasses, please answer. A girl who looked shy stood up slowly. I will help my comrades continue to fight. Since we are comrades and are a team, we should be neat and tidy. Ha ha. This student's answer is very humorous. Then, do you have a different answer? The teacher looked around. The 2 classes in the classroom, surprisingly, had the same opinion. It seems that in the face of death, you have all made the same choice. But my answer is to let your teammates help you retreat. Wow, why? The support type isn't completely powerless, okay? Teacher, we're also very good at fighting. I believe that you are very good at fighting. The support type has always been crouching tigers and hidden dragons. For example, in this classroom, there is a champion of the provincial martial arts competition who is the best fighter in the province. But what I want to say is positioning. A Takashi Hoshi of the support type plays a vital role in a team. He had to know where he stood and where he stood in relation to the country. Let me give you an example. 100 years ago, the demons invaded the Jade State and quickly advanced from the northeast to the north bank of the Yangtze River. Then, who was the first group of people to retreat? In this period of history, who would pay attention to this point? Students of the major universities. Of course, they were not students of Seibu Gakuen. At that time, there was no concept of Seibu Gakuen. Then, why would the students of the universities evacuate to a safe place in the first place? Because the students of the universities are the hope of our civilization. They should not be consumed in the flames of war. Because if they survive, they can play a greater role. Although it is not equal, it is true. Similarly, as a support, a star martial art is positioned as a support. No matter how good you are at fighting, your main function is to support. If your fighting ability exceeds your support ability, you can't be called support type. Wang Lan, who was in the crowd, lowered her head silently. I might be a husky. I can't keep up the act anymore. Support type Takashi Hoshi, he continued. Type Takashi Hoshi, he continued. Type Takashi Hoshi Hoshi, he continued. Hoshi Hoshi, Hoshi Hoshi, therefore. In order to maximize your value, when you encounter danger, especially when you are in danger of certain death, do not feel ashamed of retreating. Hoshi, Hoshi, Hoshi Hoshi. University classes were indeed different from high school classes. In the past, the teachers rarely focused on anything other than the test point. They would even skip the origin and development of the course and go straight to the main topic. On the other hand, the teacher in front of him was telling his students about the scope and importance of his course step by step. After an hour of class, when the bell rang for the end of the class, she actually felt a little unsatisfied. The next class was spiritual engraving. This was a compulsory course for every student of Seibu Gakuen. The Takashi Hoshi technique could not be written down. Many of the uses of astral power could only be understood and not explained. In particular, the timing of Takashi Hoshi's activation and the conditions under which it could be successfully used could only be felt. Because of this, Takashi Hoshi's skills were almost always copied from one person's mind to another's. It was precisely because of this that the Takashi Hoshi clan almost monopolized the Takashi Hoshi technique. Since ancient times, the monopoly of landowning households had always been a problem for society. Before the invention of spiritual engraving, this situation could not be fundamentally solved. The Takashi Hoshi clan had mastered a large number of Takashi Hoshi techniques. If an ordinary Takashi Hoshi wanted to obtain a Takashi Hoshi technique, they could only rely on the Takashi Hoshi clan to work for them. If they were recognized, they would be bestowed with a Takashi Hoshi technique. However, even if they obtained a Takashi Hoshi technique, it did not mean that they obtained the rights to the Takashi Hoshi technique. There was a saying called, if the technique was leaked, it would be destroyed. But even with the spiritual engraving technique, perhaps because the technology had only been available for a short time, the Takashi Hoshi clan still had a large number of Takashi Hoshi techniques. Moreover, there were countless Takashi Hoshi willing to rely on them. The teacher of spiritual engraving walked into the classroom. He was a bald old man with a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He was so skinny that he did not look very smart. However, according to the professor's introduction, this Professor Zhengong was the top spiritual engraving master in Jade State. He was one of the few experts who could engrave the S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique into a mid-level spiritual engraving orb from a person's brain. The teaching materials in front of them were written by Professor Zhengong. They explained the conditions of spiritual engraving and the cultivation methods that could meet the conditions. For example, a strong spiritual power. Takashi Hoshi clan's spiritual power was far superior to others. However, what could they do if they did not have a strong spiritual power? It did not matter. Professor Zheng would teach them how to cultivate their spiritual power. A strong spiritual power was only the prerequisite. One also needed to understand the principles of spiritual engraving. Spiritual engraving was a complicated machine. One had to use the spiritual power to replace the machine's parts, peel off the spiritual power, guide the spiritual power, and so on. Only when dozens of conditions were met could one attempt to engrave spiritual engraving. Spiritual engraving was also divided into levels. The lowest level was to use spiritual engraving to explore oneself. It was like using one's brain as a hard drive and using one's spiritual power to search for memories in one's brain. According to the textbook, this feeling was like one's soul being separated from one's own body. One could reflect on one's own body in detail. Wang Lan kept flipping through the pages of the book. Unknowingly, he reached the end of the book. After reading every condition, Wang Lan silently experimented with it. This experiment was not important, but it almost scared him silly. Strong spiritual power. He tried it. It seemed to be there. Subtle spiritual controllability. It seemed to be possible. Condense the spiritual power into a point and continuously train it to strengthen it. It seemed to be condensed directly into a ball. Why not? Start from a simple way and check his own memories? Wang Lan silently closed his eyes and turned the ball of spiritual power into a bridge to connect to his brain. Boom! With a muffled sound, Wang Lan saw stars. It was as if someone had stabbed a stick into his brain and stirred it vigorously. Learnable basic skill found. Would you like to spend some spiritual power to learn it? Wang Lan's mouth was wide open. His heart was shocked. Did I just activate something incredible? Did I discover something terrifying? Without hesitation, Wang Lan quickly clicked yes. In the basic skill section, a new basic skill appeared. Elementary spiritual detection. Iron LV1, 0 out of 1. What was this? Was this the golden finger of the golden fingers? Hurriedly, he added 10 skill points to elementary spiritual detection. With a boom, countless knowledge about spiritual engraving gushed out of Wang Lan's mind, as if it had the ability to reproduce itself. The skill was upgraded to bronze, and its name also changed to intermediate spiritual detection. Able to detect other people's memories. The other party is completely willing and fully cooperative. That student, why are you opening your mouth so wide? With such a shocked look, do you have a different opinion about the content of my teaching? Professor Zheng suddenly stopped his lecture and looked sharply at the crowd. With a whoosh, countless eyes looked at Wang Lan, waking him up from his shock. I'm sorry, Professor Zheng. I wholeheartedly agree with Professor Zheng's explanation. Professor Zheng's explanation in simple terms is like a wake-up call to the students, enlightening them with wisdom. That's why I'm showing such a shocked expression. The girls around him immediately gave him an awesome look. This little handsome guy was not bad, being absent-minded in class and still being able to explain it in such a fresh and refined manner. The problem was that such a mushy flattery was actually done so smoothly. Is that so? Zheng Gong gently pushed up his glasses. Well then, I'll test you with a few questions. As I said earlier, what are the 3 main conditions for spiritual engraving? Strong spiritual power, strong spiritual control, and condensing into a huge spiritual cloud. These 3 prerequisites, at the same time, require 5 stages. Wang Lan clearly and concisely summarized the main points that Professor Zheng had mentioned before. The problem was, Wang Lan's explanation was even clearer and more organized than Professor Zheng's. Every step was as rigorous and smooth as playing Tetris. Good answer. Looks like you're paying attention in class. Sit down. Although Zheng Gong's face was expressionless, in his heart, he took note of Wang Lan. He inadvertently glanced at the student list. Wang Lan actually did not pay much attention to this class. His attention was completely focused on the system's awesome operations. He had been with the system for quite some time, but he had never thought that the system's criteria for learning skills were not only based on Takashi Hoshi's skills and combat skills. The use of spiritual power was a Takashi Hoshi skill, but it was not a combat skill. However, this ability was very useful. For example, Wu Chao from the Heavenly Sword Bureau had joined the Heavenly Sword Bureau as a technical talent because he had mastered the advanced spiritual engraving skill. Although Wang Lan knew that the Heavenly Sword Bureau was filled with elites, Wu Chao was not necessarily weak. However, Wu Chao's main role in the Heavenly Sword Bureau was to interrogate and gather intelligence. How many supplementary skills like spiritual power were there? Wang Lan did not dare to think about it. Although the saying having more skills is not a burden was not accurate when it came to Wang Lan. However, it was true that having more beginner skills was not a burden. Wang Lan was so immersed in his excitement that he did not even notice the bell ringing. Professor Zheng Gong, who was about to leave, looked at Wang Lan, who was sitting still in his seat. This look, was it the look of infatuation after discovering the love of his destiny? This was a good seedling. He had to be taken care of. Even if he only had a little talent, with this passion, he could achieve great things. Chapter 261. After coming back to his senses, Wang Lan rushed to the cafeteria to eat. After eating, he went straight to the dormitory. Wang Lan needed to do an experiment to see if his guess was correct. He turned on the computer and ordered Xiao AI to search for some short recipes. Soon, a home-cooked recipe software was selected. There were 100 home-cooked dishes in the home cooking menu. Wang Lan quickly scrolled a mouse and spent 10 minutes browsing through the 100 home-cooked dishes. He sank into the system, but there was no prompt. Could it be that my guess was wrong? However, he immediately denied his guess. He browsed through it too quickly. Wang Lan didn't even have an impression of it after looking at it. The basic skills that were triggered during class were really studied and met the experimental conditions. The skills only popped up during the experiment. Once again, Wang Lan studied from the beginning to the end. She studied every dish, the ingredients used, the steps of cooking, and the things to take note of. Wang Lan, what are you doing? Ming Guodong returned to the dormitory and saw that Wang Lan wasn't revising the morning class, training his star power, or playing games. He was staring at the computer and looking at recipes. It's hard to understand what you're doing. Even if you want to be a gourmet, you shouldn't be doing it in the dormitory, right? Is there a space in the dormitory for you to show off your cooking skills? I'm doing an experiment, Wang said without turning his head while staring at the recipes. Experiment? Drawing cakes to satisfy hunger? Wang Lan, your experiment is creative. If you can complete it, can you become immortal? Aren't you hungry looking at the recipes? What are you thinking about? I've already eaten. By the way, Wang Lan, I saw in the cafeteria just now. I saw a third-year senior who seemed to be pestering Jiang Xinyu. Wang Lan paused and turned his head to look at Ming Guodong coldly. And then, a strong, murderous aura flowed out unintentionally, making Ming Guodong feel a bone-chilling coldness. Suddenly, Ming Guodong felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Wang Lan, take it in. I know you're not simple. Take it in. Wang Lan withdrew his aura, and only then did Ming Guodong's expression become slightly better. After that, of course, it was the second princess who scared that guy away with a look. It was said that Duanmu Yi was an influential figure in Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen. His influence was huge, and his hands were everywhere. However, the real supreme existence of Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai was still the second princess. With the second princess's warning, I don't think he would dare to approach us again. Don't worry. Okay. Wang Lan turned his head to look at the menu again. After nearly an hour, he finally finished reading the menu. Closing his eyes, Zhang Xian recalled the cooking method of these dishes. In his mind, he was holding a wok in one hand and a spatula in the other, discovered a learnable basic skill. Would you like to spend one skill point to learn? Yes. After adding a point, a new skill icon appeared on the basic page. Beginner cooking. Ouch. Looks like my guess was correct. Wang Lan raised his head, his eyes flashing. Wang Lan, what kind of experiment are you doing? It feels so mysterious. Ming Guodong sat on the bed barefooted and asked curiously. It's not a big experiment. It's just that during today's class, I realized that I'm a genius. Not only did I learn all the lessons in the university, but I can also draw inferences from them. I wondered if I was the legendary kind of person who could learn everything in one go. So, I tried using the menu. And then, what's the result of the experiment? My guess was completely correct. Go! Ming Guodong raised the great desolate, imprisoning heavenly finger. You don't believe me? I believe you. You're the legendary prodigy who always gets first place in every exam. Someone like you shouldn't exist. You should be sent to the crematorium. Wang Lan didn't continue arguing with Ming Guodong. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Don't worry. His conversation with Jiang Xinyu was so tacit that they didn't need to say anything. They could think of the same thing. This is the last time. I can handle it. Don't worry. The Takeshi Hoshi Equipment Company under the Duanmu family has always been in competition with my dad's company. However, they mainly produce heavy machinery and advanced products. They don't clash much with my family. I know what Duanmu Yi is thinking. He's just doing it for the Jiang group. That's not what I'm worried about. Then there's even less to worry about. This is Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. Moreover, I'm Yuruyun's roommate. He won't dare to mess around. After being warned by Yuruyun today, I think he won't dare to appear within 3 meters of me. Be careful. I know. I'm hanging up. Hearing Wang Lan's conversation, Ming Guodong suddenly became interested. Are you planning to diss Duanmu? Duanmu isn't the main problem, Wang Lan said with a dignified expression. This is Shanghai, and the Duanmu family is one of the top families in Jade State. Their strength and influence are unfathomable. However, even if the Duanmu family is powerful, it isn't a reason for Wang Lan to swallow his anger. Then there's even less to worry about. Who are you? Yan Emperor's son. So what if the Duanmu family is powerful? Can they be more powerful than Yan Emperor? Don't be afraid. If you want to diss him, then diss him to death. Duanmu, he isn't part of the Five Emperors faction. What's there to be afraid of? Wang Lan looked at Ming Guodong in surprise. Why do I feel like you're fanning the flames? Be more confident. Remove the word feel. Anyway, I don't need to be the vanguard. I'm just here to watch the show. Wang Lan rolled his eyes at Ming Guodong and continued to search for medical books on the computer. On the other side, Zheng Gong returned to his office to look for Wang Lan's information. He wouldn't have known if he didn't look at it. Although Wang Lan is already very famous, he hasn't reached the point where he's a household name, especially an old professor like Zheng Gong, who is usually very busy. How can he have time to care about the news in the corner? However, when he really opened Wang Lan's resume, a gorgeous answer sheet that almost blinded his eyes appeared in front of Zheng Gong's eyes. He awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent at the age of 16, and before that, he had surpassed all the top students in the city and reached the top. In other cities, there may be first, second, and third grades in academic results. However, in Sioux City, there's first, second, and third grades. In the first grade, there is only one name, Wang Lan. With his own strength, he beat all the top students in the city without any temper. This kind of talent, this kind of hard work, Zheng Gong hasn't seen in decades. After awakening the Takashi Hoshi talent, he started so late, but the speed of advancement is also unprecedented. Just as Zheng Gong guessed, this is a person who is extremely devout in learning and has extraordinary talent. Although his talent is so comprehensive, as long as he shows a strong interest in spiritual engraving, of course, he needs to be nurtured well. There are still too few top talents in the field of spiritual engraving. At the thought of this, the more Zheng Gong looked at Wang Lan's information, the more he liked it. He hummed a few words happily. In Ming Guodong's eyes, Wang Lan's behavior was getting more and more difficult to understand. If studying recipes exposed Wang Lan's nature of being a standard foodie, it could be explained. However, Wang Lan is actually reading medical books today? Yes, you're medical Takashi Hoshi. There's nothing wrong with reading medical books. You're Takashi Hoshi, okay? It's completely reasonable for you to want to read medical books like Takashi Hoshi, but you're reading medical books for ordinary people. Do you want to go to the hospital to be an outpatient doctor? What's wrong with taking a scalpel and cutting someone's appendix? If eating delicious food is a hobby, you can't be interested in performing surgeries and cutting human organs, right? Do you know the process of the attack of a highly toxic poison in the human body? Do you know where to stab so that you can seriously injure someone but not kill them? Do you know how to stab someone 7 or 8 times but avoid the vital parts? Ming Guodong was dumbfounded by these questions. Is this Wang Lan's way of thinking? Jing, I want to live with you. It's too scary. Wang Lan is a little obsessed. I'm afraid that he'll do an experiment on me in the middle of the night. After 5 days of research, Wang Lan finally figured out how to trigger basic skills. First of all, basic skills can only be triggered by applied subjects. The theoretical type could not be triggered. For example, if you design a complex building, you can only trigger the drawing skill, but not the design skill. However, if you learn how to build a house, you can trigger the construction skill. For example, building walls. For example, carpentry. In the medical field, research skills cannot be triggered. However, medical diagnoses and treatment methods can be found in books, so Wang Lan can learn them. For example, musical instruments, singing, and so on could trigger skills. In other words, it was a type of technique that could be passed down and didn't require any extremely rare talent. Wang Lan would be able to activate this technique after gaining a deeper understanding. In this way, in the past 5 days, Wang Lan's basic skills page had 5 to 6 new skills. And each of them can, well, they might not have any practical use. Other than showing off, they're all useless. However, he did not plan to waste his skill points to upgrade them. There is no harm in having more skills. In any case, there are many free skill icons on the basic skills page. Moreover, medical first aid and wound bandaging are a little redundant for Wang Lan, who has the Life Him Takashi Hoshi skill. However, Wang Lan thought of a high-level application. What if he upgraded these skills to a high-level level and then passed them on to others through the mental imprint? Then, would he be able to create an expert-level talent in the medical field in minutes? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Wang Lan remembered seeing a piece of news 2 years ago. Before a scientist with terminal cancer died, he asked a mental imprint master to imprint everything he had learned in his life into his grandson's mind so that he could continue his unfinished research. After discovering that he could learn medical skills, Wang Lan set his eyes on Takashi Hoshi's poison research. However, once he touched on this field, Wang Lan realized that he had been too naive. Takashi Hoshi's poison research was a vast theoretical system. The only useful Takashi Hoshi skill was Takashi Hoshi's decomposition of all things. Without this Takashi Hoshi skill, many professional instruments would be needed to analyze Takashi Hoshi's poison and then subdivide the composition of Takashi Hoshi's poison. However, this Takashi Hoshi skill could decompose all substances in the world into their most primitive units without the help of instruments. Very powerful, right? It sounds really powerful. In addition, this skill's difficulty level was S rank. However, this skill instantly became useless after seeing the prerequisite. It had to come into contact with substances. Do you think you can decompose your enemy just because you learned this skill? Is it an awesome skill? But if you can come into contact with your enemy, why would you need to decompose them? Wouldn't it feel good to just stab them? It was precisely because this skill was difficult and had many restrictions that it was now used to analyze substances. Because the learning conditions of this Takashi Hoshi skill were extremely harsh, there were only 3 people in the world who had mastered this Takashi Hoshi skill. One of them was actually in Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen. Chapter 262. A month had passed, and Wang Lan's academic life had become unusually regular. For the past month, other than the occasional phone call with Jiang Xinyu, he had spent most of his free time in the library. What star power level, what skill points, they were all thrown to the back of Wang Lan's mind. Every skill that Wang Lan thought might be useful in the future, he had learned them without fail. Even so, Wang Lan could not activate the detoxification skill that he wanted to learn the most. Even though Wang Lan had mastered a huge amount of detoxification theory with his extraordinary memory and unique learning method, he still could not activate the skill. Medical Department, Sun Li's office. Director Sun Li was still wearing the same bright red dress with a white lab coat over it. Her long, wavy hair was sexy and seductive. She propped herself up on the desk and looked at Wang Lan teasingly. Are you saying you want to learn the decomposition of all things? Yes, teacher. Since you know about the decomposition of all things, then you should know that the decomposition of all things is an S-grade Takashi Hoshi skill. The requirements to learn it are extremely strict. There are only 3 people in the world who have mastered this Takashi Hoshi skill. When it came to learning the Takashi Hoshi skill, Wang Lan dared to point his finger at everyone in the world and say, "Teacher, I think I should succeed in learning it." Wang Lan had never liked to show off, so he had absolute confidence in himself. Did you misunderstand what I meant? I'm not asking if you have the ability to learn it. Sun Li smiled slyly and ran her fingers through her hair. Why do you think I should teach you an S-grade Takashi Hoshi skill? Because you've made outstanding contributions to the medical industry, or because you're my man now? Teacher, Wang Lan's heart skipped a beat when he heard Sun Li's last sentence. Although Wang Lan knew that Sun Li's personality was a bit unreliable and that she had never been a role model for others, she was still shocked by Sun Li's statement. He still remembered the first day Wang Lan reported to school. His senior had warned him earnestly. Our teacher is a little different from other teachers. If she says anything strange, don't take it seriously. Our teacher's biggest problem is that she's a love-struck fool. When she sees a handsome guy, she can't help but flirt with him. But remember, she can flirt with you, but you can't respond to her. Otherwise, you might not be able to take care of yourself for the rest of your life. Wang Lan had always objectively believed that he was a handsome guy who met the aesthetic standards of the public, so he had always adhered to his Tao heart. Whether it was Sun Li's eyes or her words, Wang Lan was able to control himself. Teacher, I feel that if I can learn how to decompose all things, I will definitely be able to make an outstanding contribution to the medical industry. Teacher, you should know that I am known as a demon in the pugilistic world. My talent is extraordinary, and I have a good reputation. Do you know what I like about you? Sun Li asked with a gentle smile. He slowly came in front of Wang Lan and gently reached out his hand to pat Wang Lan's cheek. Look at how shameless you are. It's a waste of your beautiful face. Someone knocked on the door. Come in. The door opened, but the person who entered was not a researcher or a student of the medical department. It was Zheng Gong, the spiritual imprint expert. Professor Zheng, why are you here? Sun Li asked in surprise. I'm here to look for him. He actually skipped the spiritual imprint class this morning. Teacher Sun, isn't the elective class only in the afternoon? You've misunderstood, Professor Zheng. I didn't drag Wang Lan with me. Besides, he only came in my office half an hour ago. I won't take the blame for this. Zheng Gong's sharp gaze immediately turned to Wang Lan. Wang Lan's heart trembled. Professor Zheng never took attendance in class. To be honest, more and more students were skipping classes. So many students were skipping classes, and you didn't care. I only skipped one class, and you came to kill me? Do you have some kind of thoughts about me? Although he was complaining in his heart, he put on an expression of deep regret on his face, as if he had deeply realized his mistake. Professor Zheng, I was wrong. I'll definitely come to class tomorrow. Tomorrow? I'll be teaching something else tomorrow. You didn't come yesterday, so I thought you were planning to attend today's class. I didn't expect that you wouldn't come today, either. Do you know how important the content I'm going to talk about today is? I'm going to talk about the cultivation and manifestation of a spiritual mirror image. This is the most important step in our spiritual imprint cultivation. Students who usually skip classes are all here today. You've never skipped classes before, yet you're missing the most important lesson. Forget it. Come to my office after all the classes are over. I'll give you a supplementary class. Even Sun Li, who was watching from the sidelines, was shocked by these words. In a university, there was a precedent for professors to give supplementary classes to students. In Cebu Gakuen, the professors were punctual in class. If you wanted to learn, you could skip class. Who cared if you wanted to learn? If you failed the exam, you would naturally fail the subject. This was especially true for Zheng Gong, who was famous for his sage attitude. Usually, he was the kind of teacher that students liked the most. He didn't take attendance in class, didn't ask questions, and didn't delay classes. Moreover, he was never as insidious as some teachers who didn't usually take attendance, but suddenly took attendance and even deducted credits. But when it came to exams, he was ruthless and merciless. The passing standard was very strict. At most, a third of a class could pass without failing the exam. There's no need for that, right? Wang Lan asked hesitantly in a soft voice. Zheng Gong frowned. Could it be that I've misjudged him? Is this a slacker who doesn't want to improve? I've actually mastered the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image. Zheng Gong's words had a different meaning. Today, he was going to talk about theory, not practice, and there was a long way to go from theory to practice. Mastering the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image was the final exam for the second half of the semester. The first half of the semester focused on theory, but Wang Lan's words seemed to mean Wang Lan didn't waste any time. He slowly opened his palm. Instantly, astral power surged, and a hazy white light rose from Wang Lan's palm. This was the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image. As Wang Lan mobilized his mental power, a memory fragment appeared in his palm. It was the classic battle scene between Wang Lan and Xiao Zi in the provincial martial arts tournament. It was a beautiful battle scene with gorgeous Takashi Hoshi's special effects. If it was accompanied by a BGM, it would definitely be included in a premium video channel. But this wasn't the focus of the two teachers. The level of a Takashi Hoshi was directly reflected by the level of Takashi Hoshi and the level of his skills. The quality of the image was presented in pixels. One of the final exams for the first half of the semester was the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image. The requirement was to successfully complete the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image and maintain it in a stable state for 30 seconds. As for the clarity, there was no requirement. This was because to achieve a high level of clarity, one had to at least reach the level of an advanced spiritual imprint. Most students might not be able to reach this level by the time they graduated. But Wang Lan's manifestation of a spiritual mirror image was as clear as a super high-definition image. What did this mean? It meant that not only had Wang Lan mastered it, but his mental power had also reached the level of a professional, and his control of spiritual imprint had reached the level of an elite. You learned spiritual imprint before? Zheng Gong was stunned for a long time before he finally raised his head and asked in disbelief. No, my first spiritual imprint class was taught by Professor Zheng. Professor Zheng is the only teacher in my spiritual imprint class. Wang Lan flattered him smoothly. In other words, he was trying to say, I'm your man, please let me go. When did you master the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image? Wang Lan really wanted to say, I mastered it after the first class. Not only did I master the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image, but I also mastered spiritual imprint and skill imprint. Looking at the silver level spiritual imprint on the skill page, Wang Lan felt that it wasn't difficult to imprint Takashi Hoshi's skill into someone else's mind. The main thing was that he couldn't imprint a gold level skill. After thinking about it, he decided not to provoke this old professor. He was already so old. What if his blood pressure increased when he got agitated? About a week ago. No, it's impossible for the manifestation of a spiritual mirror image to be so stable and clear a week ago. I'm referring to the level I'm at now a week ago. A dash. Zheng Gong took a deep breath and almost couldn't catch his breath. After a while, Zheng Gong looked at Wang Lan with a complicated expression. You can imprint Takashi Hoshi's skill now, right? You know that too? Wang Lan looked at Zheng Gong in surprise. Zheng Gong's pupils shrank, but his face was calm. What level of Takashi Hoshi's skill can I imprint? Zheng Gong knew. How the hell would he know? His question was merely a test of his own volition. After mastering such a high-level manifestation of a spiritual mirror image, Wang Lan already had the conditions to imprint. Zheng Gong guessed that Wang Lan must have already tried. However, he didn't think that Wang Lan could do it. He was waiting for Wang Lan to tell him about the difficulties he encountered when imprinting Takashi Hoshi's skill. He wanted to be a role model and teach him that no matter how talented he was, he still needed a teacher to teach him. However, Wang Lan's answer directly ruined Zheng Gong's plan of escaping with his mouth. Silver. What's silver? No, it's a B-level Takashi Hoshi. You have a soul orb, right, Professor Sun? Let him try. Sun Li reached into the pocket of her lab coat and pulled out a low-grade soul orb. I only have a low-grade soul orb. My daughter used it to play with marbles. I picked it up. Wang Lan looked at Sun Li in surprise. She used a soul orb to play with marbles? Could it be that this was the world of the truly rich? Zheng Gong took the marble and handed it to Wang Lan. Imprint a skill in it. Don't tell me you don't have a D-level skill. Wang Lan looked at the professor's disdainful expression. How could he stand it? He took the soul orb, closed his eyes, and imprinted the skill in his mind. Instantly, astral power rippled around Wang Lan's body. The ripples were like the surface of a lake in the breeze. In the blink of an eye, a green cloud of psychic power appeared between Wang Lan's eyebrows. The cloud turned into green smoke, as if the soul orb had sucked it dry. Less than 10 minutes later, the skill imprinting was complete. Surprisingly, the soul orb didn't change at all. Did it fail? Sun Li asked curiously. No, it succeeded. It was perfect. Zheng Gong couldn't keep a straight face anymore. Then why didn't it change color? After imprinting the Takashi Hoshi skill, the soul orb would show the color of the Takashi Hoshi skill. Professor Sun, it's because I didn't imprint the Takashi Hoshi skill. I imprinted the second-level cooking skill. Chapter 263. Since ancient times, perhaps Wang Lan was the only one who could imprint a life skill into a soul orb. But no matter how ridiculous it was, it couldn't change the fact that Wang Lan was already able to imprint skills. Moreover, he was able to imprint skills into a soul orb. How to put it? If the subject of spiritual imprinting was divided into levels, the first level was to show one's own memories to others through a mirror image. The second level was to show one's own skills and techniques to others. The third level was to transmit one's own memories through spiritual energy to others' minds. The fourth level was to imprint one's own skills into others' minds. Wang Lan's ability to imprint his skills into a soul orb belonged to the sixth level. The sixth level was equivalent to a professional spiritual imprint master. Spiritual imprinting was a compulsory subject in Seibu Gakuen, and all students were required to reach the fourth level. In other words, after passing the fourth level, one could graduate. But even so, there were still many students who failed their subjects every year from their third year to their fourth year. Even if they were in their fifth year as interns, they still had to come back and retake their exams. The reason for requiring students to pass the fourth level was very simple. It was to facilitate the spread of the Takashi Hoshi technique. After graduation, if you couldn't even impart your own Takashi Hoshi technique to others, what use would the country have for you? But Wang Lan, from the start of school until now, jumped from a beginner to a sixth level in less than 2 months. What kind of concept was this? This concept was that in a little over a month, he had achieved what others would need 3 years of hard work to achieve. If this spread out, Wang Lan would be able to collect tickets for people to visit. This kind of non-human, non-scientific creature should be properly admired. Genius. After a long time, Zheng Gong, who had regained his senses, suddenly trembled all over. He excitedly grabbed Wang Lan's shoulders, his eyes so red that it seemed as if blood would overflow. Genius, a true genius. The heavens have treated me well. I didn't think that in my lifetime I would be able to meet a genius student with the potential of a 9th-level spiritual imprint master. I will immediately apply to the school to let you be my assistant student. I will definitely do my best to nurture you. Child, you must do your best. I really want to see the day you become a 9th-level spiritual imprint master. You must do your best. These words left Wang Lan dumbfounded. Wang Lan actually wanted to keep a low profile. If he didn't want to keep a low profile, why would he say that he could only inscribe B-rank skills? Silver Truth represented an A-rank Takashi Hoshi skill. But it seemed that the performance that he thought was low-key seemed to have accidentally become high-profile again. Genius? To be honest, Wang Lan really didn't know what kind of genius there was. Sun Li calmly poured a bucket of cold water on Zheng Gong, who was clearly showing signs of epilepsy. I'm your professor. The dean won't agree to it. Why? Zheng Gong jerked his head around to look at Sun Li in surprise. You should have seen Wang Lan's information, right? The Academy's evaluation of his potential was that he was comparable to the 5 emperors. How can such a student be allowed to study spiritual engraving? Why not? There was only one level 9 spiritual engraving master left in the Jade State, and that was Old CI, one of the 5 elders. She hadn't personally inscribed the Takashi Hoshi skill for nearly 30 years. A level 9 spiritual engraving master would have a huge impact on the Jade State. No, on the entire world. It would be comparable to the 5 emperors. However, spiritual engraving was only an auxiliary profession. Now that the demons were ready to make a move, there were still 30 years before the predicted invasion of the demons. 30 years. Among the 5 emperors, Bai Di was already in his 60s. Qing Di, Xian Di, and Ming Di were all nearing their 50s. The youngest, Yin Di was already in his 40s. How can you expect the five emperors to fight again in 30 years? Jade State urgently needs the next generation of leaders. At least, but not limited to the five emperors. It would be best if there were 10 or even 100 of them. Wang Lan is the focus of attention of the new generation. How can we just watch him run off to cultivate the spiritual imprint? However, spiritual engraving can change Jade State's strategic reserves. The inheritance of the Super S-level Takashi Hoshi skill is about to be cut off. Old CI can no longer carry out spiritual engraving. The existing Super S-level Takashi Hoshi skill is unique. If it can't be copied, who would dare to learn the Super S-level Takashi Hoshi skill? Yin Di was able to learn the Phoenix form because Di Lao bet his future on Wang Ling. Yin Di also worked hard and successfully learned the Phoenix form. However, the Phoenix form in Jade State's inventory is no longer available. If someone wants to learn the Phoenix form, they can only rely on Yin Di to teach them personally. As for the remaining Super S-level Takashi Hoshi skills, Jade State only has 2 or 3 left. If Jade State could produce a level 9 spiritual engraving master, their poor situation would be completely improved. Every generation will produce talented people. In every generation, there will be 1 or 2 outstanding leaders who can represent the era. However, a level 9 spiritual engraving master is rare. Zheng Gong said excitedly. Sun Li, who was sitting opposite him, fell into deep thought. Although Wang Lan's talent could definitely support Jade State in 10 years, it seemed that his talent for spiritual engraving was even more valuable. A person with just one talent could become the favorite of the era. Wang Lan, on the other hand, had so many talents in one body. At that moment, Sun Li wondered if this guy was God's illegitimate son. Wang Lan, who was being praised by the two, felt that something was wrong. It seemed that Professor Zheng was trying to pull him down a path of no return. Wang Lan suddenly became anxious. Professor Zheng, listen to me. I still want to walk the path of an orthodox Takashi Hoshi. Spiritual engraving is purely a hobby, a side job. As soon as he finished speaking, Professor Zheng glared at him as if he wanted to eat him alive. What do you mean? Don't you have the awareness of being a Takashi Hoshi? What is a side job? What is a main job? Anything that is beneficial to the continuation of human civilization and can contribute to the human race is a main job. Powerful Takashi Hoshi may be glorious, but what is the ultimate mission of a Takashi Hoshi? To protect human civilization. Wherever you can make the greatest contribution, that is your main job. There are plenty of combat-type Takashi Hoshi. You're not the only one. What the hell? What the hell? The words were stuck in his throat, but he swallowed them back down. Professor Zheng, I'll just study normally. I won't drag down the progress of my spiritual engraving, right? If I give up everything and focus on spiritual engraving, please forgive me for not being able to comply. Can you promise that you won't focus on one subject and you'll be able to make satisfactory progress? I've never been a coward when it comes to studying. Good. I'll observe you for a year. By the end of the first half of next year's semester, if your progress doesn't satisfy me, you'll have to focus on spiritual engraving. What do you think? Wang Lan frowned. Logically speaking, as long as Wang Lan insisted on not focusing on spiritual engraving, Professor Zheng wouldn't be able to do anything about it. However, in Professor Zheng's eyes, Wang Lan was someone who had no self-awareness. This wasn't what Wang Lan wanted. Professor Zheng's request wasn't difficult for Wang Lan to fulfill. Wang Lan's current mastery of the silver-grade spiritual engraving was far beyond Professor Zheng's expectations. If the exam were to become more difficult in the future, would Wang Lan be stumped by the simple matter of adding points? Wang Lan pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Professor Zheng left in satisfaction, leaving Sun Li and Wang Lan in the office. Wang Lan hesitated for a moment before bowing slightly at Sun Li's playful gaze. Professor Sun, I'll take my leave first. Then, he turned to leave. Wait, didn't you want to disintegrate everything? What? You don't want it anymore? Professor Sun, you're willing to teach me? Wang Lan asked, pleasantly surprised. Originally, I didn't want to teach you, but seeing how talented you are in spiritual engraving, I'll teach you. Even if you can't master it, you'll still be able to engrave it in the future. So, I'll teach it to you. Thank you, Professor Sunday. As soon as Wang Lan finished speaking, Sun Li reached out and tapped on Wang Lan's forehead. In an instant, a stream of information rushed into Wang Lan's mind. You can learn Takashi Hoshi. Would you like to spend 1,000 skill points to learn it? Yes. After spending 1,000 skill points to learn the skill, Wang Lan revealed a satisfied smile. Thank you, Professor. Work hard. I have high hopes for you. It was rare for Professor Sun Li to be so serious. After bidding farewell to Sun Li, Wang Lan left the medical department. Previously, she had learned a large number of basic skills. In addition to learning myriad decomposition, Wang Lan's inventory of skill points was almost empty. Other than the last class, which was a new class, Wang Lan had already self-studied all the other classes in the afternoon. So, after learning disintegration, Wang Lan went straight to the library. Detoxification was a very practical skill. Wang Lan had already learned the basic detoxification skill, so there was no reason why he couldn't activate the skill to detoxify Takashi Hoshi. Wang Lan felt that he had already met the requirements to activate the skill. He didn't hesitate to learn disintegration, which allowed him to extract the basic elements of all things. Since he had already met this requirement, there was no reason why he couldn't activate the skill. After arriving at the library, Wang Lan picked up the book that he had already flipped through several times. It was a book about Takashi Hoshi's elemental stripping and its corresponding elements. The book explained Takashi Hoshi's toxins from a microscopic point of view. Takashi Hoshi's toxins were arranged according to their microscopic elemental stripping. As long as the stripping sequence was changed, the toxins would no longer be corrosive, commonly known as immunity. The conventional treatment method was to inject a Takashi Hoshi victim with a Takashi Hoshi toxin that perfectly countered the Takashi Hoshi toxin. This way, the toxins would be fused into a harmless toxin. This meant that the more deeply the victim was poisoned, the more potent the toxin had to be injected. Wang Lan didn't agree with this method of fighting poison with poison. Wang Lan's ideal solution was to develop a vaccine. As long as he injected it once, he would no longer be afraid. Perhaps it was because of this contradiction that Wang Lan couldn't activate the skill that he wanted the most. Thinking of this, Wang Lan sighed and put the book back on the shelf. He glanced at it from the corner of his eye. Why is this book here? Theoretical Analysis of Ms. Wang Qi's Biological Genetic Code Formula. This book should have been in the genetic engineering section upstairs. Maybe a careless student put it in the wrong place. Wang Lan took out the book and planned to put it back where it belonged. But since he took it out, let's take a look. Chapter 264. Wang Lan had already taken about 10 lessons in human genetics, but he was still at a superficial level. However, this did not stop Wang Lan from understanding the book. Especially when it explained the greatness of this gene editing formula, Wang Lan felt inexplicably excited. It was as if a door had appeared in front of him. As long as he pushed it gently, a new world would appear in front of him. A learnable skill has been triggered. Do you want to learn it? The system suddenly sent out a notification, and Wang Lan subconsciously chose yes. Anyway, he had gotten used to it these days. A learnable skill has been discovered. Do you want to learn it? Learn it. As soon as he finished speaking, 100 skill points were suddenly gone. However, a brand new silver icon appeared on the system's interface. Takashi Hoshi Toxin Vaccine Research. What the F***? A loud shout made a few students around him raise their heads and look at Wang Lan in surprise. However, Wang Lan, who was in shock, did not care about this. Wang Lan wanted the Takashi Hoshi Toxin Detoxification skill. In Wang Lan's eyes, it was the kind of method to fight poison with poison. But now, it had actually triggered the Takashi Hoshi Toxin Vaccine Research in one step. After the shock, Wang Lan quickly digested the knowledge in his mind. The door that Wang Lan felt previously had been pushed open by him. Not only had it been pushed open, but it had also been mastered. Was it difficult to dissect the microscopic particles of Takashi Hoshitoxin? It was not very difficult. If it really could not be done, he could use the decomposition of all things. However, it was very difficult to develop a Takashi Hoshitoxin that completely countered it. It required breeding, and it was easy to fail. The scariest thing was that it was easy to mutate. If the mutation was not discovered, it would fuse with Takashi Hoshitoxin to produce a stronger Takashi Hoshitoxin. Then it would be over. Therefore, there were tens of thousands of Takashi Hoshitoxins in storage. Today, with the rapid development of science and technology, only a few hundred of them had been cracked. As for Wanglan's skill, it was awesome. They skipped the cultivation of Takashi Hoshitoxins that completely countered each other and directly used the corresponding sequence of genes in the human body through the genetic code of the human body. This toxin would no longer pose a threat to the person who was injected with the vaccine, unless it mutated again. Originally, this step was extremely difficult and even impractical. However, in front of the genetic coding formula, it suddenly became simple. For example, we don't need to know how the multiplication table or the multiplication vertical form evolved. We only need to use it and know that it's useful. Wanglan didn't know how this genetic coding formula was deduced, nor did he know if it was correct. He just needed to use it and use it well. The newly triggered skill clearly told Wanglan that this formula was very useful and advanced. The excited Wanglan quickly stood up and returned the book to its original place. After that, he went straight to the medical department. Just as he was about to go to Sun Li's office, he found Sun Li in a laboratory. She was concentrating on some experiment. Wanglan quietly pushed open the door and entered the laboratory. All the students were staring at Sun Li's hand. Wanglan, however, noticed a poison array written on the blackboard. It contained a few hundred characters. Wanglan immediately activated the vaccine skill. Unfortunately, this poison was quite advanced. The vaccine for the Takashi Hoshitoxins was still not developed yet. Wanglan didn't hesitate to add 1,000 skill points to the skill. It wasn't until she pushed the skill to Gold 1 that a flash of inspiration appeared in Wanglan's mind. It failed again. Sun Li sighed. Only 1/3 of the way through again. Suddenly, Sun Li's voice stopped. She looked up and saw Wanglan in the laboratory. She didn't know when, but Wanglan was staring blankly at the black-spotted spider's poison on the blackboard. "Hey, who are you? How did you get in here? This is a laboratory. What are you doing here?" One of the students shouted. "Don't speak." Wanglan seems to be thinking about something. Sun Li frowned at Wanglan. As soon as Sun Li finished speaking, he sprang into action. He quickly picked up a pen, pulled out a piece of paper, and began to write. It was as fast as a programmer writing code. Lines of code flowed out from Wanglan's pen. Sun Li strode to Wanglan's side, followed by the other students. They could recognize all the codes Wanglan had written. After all, they had been dealing with these codes for years. But when combined, they couldn't understand them at all. This wasn't some kind of antitoxin code. It was wrong from the very beginning. Furthermore, there were over 300 codes for the black-spotted spider's poison. The number of codes Wanglan had written was far more than that. A single piece of A4 paper was quickly filled with codes. Based on a rough estimate, there were at least 2,000 codes. What the hell is he writing? It doesn't make any sense at all. One of the students complained, feeling a headache coming on. The confusion in Sun Li's eyes gradually turned into understanding and then shock. By the end, she was already looking at Wanglan with a strange expression. It was the kind of expression that made it seem as if she wanted to dissect him. When Wanglan finished writing the last code, he threw down the pen and let out a long sigh. "Miss Sun Li," Wanglan presented the paper to Sun Li as if he was presenting a treasure. Suddenly, a notification rang out in Wanglan's mind. "You have successfully developed a vaccine against the black-spotted spider's Takashi Hoshi. Reward, 5,000 experience points and 100 skill points. Watcha." "You can do that?" Wanglan's face was filled with question marks. When he finally came to his senses, Wanglan wanted nothing more than to throw his head back and scream. This unexpected reward caused Wanglan's heart to race. What did Sun Li tell him last time? That there were over 100,000 uncured poisons in the world? Were these uncured poisons? In Wang Lan's eyes, this was a sea of experience points and skill points. If he could cure all these poisons, Wang Lan would even dare to say that he could reach the Starsea realm. F***CK. How could he let this go? What is this? It's not even a poison sequence code. One of the students sighed after thinking for a while. Yes, it's not a poison sequence code. Sun Li finally recovered from her shock. This is a gene editing method for the black-spotted spider's vaccine. As long as the gene is edited according to this gene editing method, the final product will be the black-spotted spider's poison vaccine. Wang Lan, how did you do it? What? The surrounding students were all stunned. How is this possible? You wrote the vaccine code out of thin air. You didn't even develop a gene that countered the poison, and you just created a vaccine? Is this some kind of theology? Are you joking? Are you serious, Miss Sun? This is obviously not a joke. Wang Lan, how did you do it? It's very simple, Wang Lan said with an obedient smile. Sun Li rolled her eyes when she heard this. Meanwhile, the students around her felt a dull ache in their chests. Teacher Sun, have you seen the gene coding method published by Professor Wang Qi? It's not difficult for us to analyze the sequence of Takashi Hoshi's poison. However, creating the corresponding sequence of Takashi Hoshi's poison is not easy. Because Takashi Hoshi's poison is produced by exotic beasts, it's too difficult to synthesize it artificially. However, we can completely skip this step and directly modify the human genes. We are familiar with human genes, and we have a lot of experience in this field. The gene coding method just so happens to help us edit the human genes. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding students all looked at Wang Lan as if they were looking at a monster. They had already seen the gene coding method a long time ago. However, was it something that they could understand at their level? In the eyes of most people, this gene coding method was on the same level as a heavenly book. If it was so easy to understand and use, Professor Ma Bo wouldn't have spent 10 years researching the demonic gene medicine. Only the world's top genetic engineers could understand this formula. And you're telling me that not only did you understand it, you even used it? Moreover, even if you used it, you actually said that it was very simple. Simple your grandma's leg. Wang Lan, you said that you can understand Madame Wang Qi's gene coding method? It's very easy to understand. It's like a mathematical formula. You just have to use the formula's calculation method and bring the corresponding code into it. Listen, is this something a human would say? Don't make a fuss about it. It's not strange that Wang Lan can understand it. Professor Wang Qi is Wang Lan's aunt. He's been influenced by her since he was young, Sun Li explained calmly. Wang Lan, come with me. After the two left, a few senior students were still staring at each other in the laboratory. So Wang Lan is Professor Wang Qi's nephew. No wonder, it makes sense. But isn't that a little too much? Just now, he was calculating the vaccine's code in his head. His brain structure might be different from ours. I seriously suspect that his brain cells are all zeros and ones. I agree. Sun Li followed Sun Li to her office. Suddenly, Sun Li leaned against her desk and smiled seductively at Wang Lan. Wang Lan, do I treat you well? Wang Lan's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Teacher, I don't know how to answer that. See, I even taught you my trump card, the decomposition of all things. Don't I treat you well enough? Wang Lan wanted nothing more than to run away from Sun Li. Teacher, what do you want me to do? Just tell me. Teach me how to use the gene coding method. Wang Lan sighed in relief. I thought it was something no problem, but I have to go to class now. Can I start tomorrow? Of course. By the way, even though your vaccine's code has been written, we don't have the technology to develop a gene vaccine. Only by developing a real vaccine can we be considered successful. Do you know how to do it? Well, Wang Xin choked. Teacher, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about me? How could I possibly know how to do it? But it's okay, why don't you just give the list to my aunt? That's what she does. Oh, you're quite good at taking care of your own business, aren't you? Do you know how big of a business this will be once the vaccine is developed? Also, there are hundreds of thousands of different types of Takashi Hoshi toxins. That means we'll need hundreds of thousands of different vaccines. In the future, there will be even more Takashi Hoshi toxins being developed. Haha, teacher, are you trying to change the subject? Currently, the only company in the world that can independently produce gene vaccines is my aunt's, right? Wang Lan waved his hand and left with a smile. Chapter 265. Ever since Jai Biotechnology developed the Life Potion last year, the company's assets and scale had shown explosive growth. Almost every day, there would be people coming to the entrance of Jai Biotechnology to express their gratitude or ask for the potion. If Jai Biotechnology was willing to go public, no one doubted that it would become the company with the highest market value in the world. Everyone in the world was afraid of death, and the rich were even more afraid of death. However, even if it was not listed, Jai Biotechnology's profits reached their peak in May and June, and the daily orders increased at a terrifying rate of 10 times. Even if Jai Biotechnology worked 24/7 every day, and except for the core technology, all the secondary production processes were transferred to OEM companies, the terrifying demand did not decrease. Instead, it continued to show explosive growth. In April, Wang Qi submitted an application to the Sioux City government to expand the company. 3 days later, not only did they agree to it, but they also used a commercial site in the park for the development of the business center as the land for Wang Qi's new company. This policy and treatment deeply told those who coveted Jai Biotechnology that it was under the government's protection. If they dared to touch it, they would try. With Jai's generous investment, the construction of a new company began in April and was officially completed in September. The new company was more than 30 times larger than the original company, and it became a new monument of Sioux City's enterprises. Even though the company was 30 times larger, it still could not keep up with the constant demand of the market. This was because Jai did not only have to face the Jade State, but also the global market. Boss, the capable female secretary pushed open the door of Wang Qi's office. Boss, I just received a fax from Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. They want us to sample one of their vaccines. Shanghai Cebu Gakuen? It's been 2 months. Wang Qi was so busy that she almost turned upside down. When the secretary mentioned it, she remembered that Wang Lan had left Sioux City for 2 months. Let me see it. Wang Qi took the list and glanced at it. Hey, is this the genome code that was compiled using the genetic coding formula? As the only person in the world who was proficient in the coding formula, Wang Qi naturally recognized it at a glance. According to Wang Qi's estimation, it would take at least 3 to 5 years for others to master the coding formula and understand how to use it. This was the time Wang Qi would recoup the cost of publishing the formula. The formula belonged to the entire world, and it was also Song Zifeng's wish back then. However, the benefits belonged to them, and it was also Song Zifeng's wish back then. I didn't expect that in less than 2 months, someone would be able to master the use of coding formulas. Who was the person who sent the fax? The head of the medical department, Sun Li. But I've checked, and there's no information about this person. Boss, could she be a scammer? If a liar has the ability to produce a genomic code compiled through a genetic coding formula, then he's also a liar with the identity of a world-class scientist. Sun Li, I think I remember her. About 14 years ago, I think I saw her at a biological genetic science conference. Then, do you want to refuse? Why did you refuse? Our production line is already operating at full capacity. If we do a sample for them, the subsequent production of the vaccine is also possible. At that time, it will be difficult to refuse. The Takashi Hoshi toxin has always been a global problem. If Sun Li can find a way to neutralize the Takashi Hoshi toxin, her contribution to the world will be far greater than the life potion we developed. The life potion we developed is only for saving people, but the vaccine to neutralize the Takashi Hoshi toxin will save our civilization. I'll personally do the sample for them. Okay, then I'll do it right away. Magic City, Cebu Gakuen, inside the laboratory of the medical department. If there was a type of teaching that was the most direct and effective, it would be on-site teaching. No matter how much he said, it was better to do it himself. The poison of the crossfruit flower is one of the commonly seen Takashi Hoshi toxin plants in the alternate dimensions that frequently open in the mandala forest. Most of the alternate dimensions that open there are in the mandala forest. The pollen of the crossfruit flower has a strong paralyzing effect on the Takashi Hoshi toxin. After inhaling the pollen, a Takashi Hoshi will feel their body become sluggish for 10 seconds. After 1 minute, they will experience sensory confusion, and after 5 minutes, they will experience hallucinations. However, the mutated beasts in the alternate dimensions are immune to the toxin. Due to the existence of the crossfruit flower, the Takashi Hoshi in the mandala region are helpless against the alternate dimensions. They have to risk their lives every time they resist the invasion of the mutated beasts. This is the Takashi Hoshi toxin of the crossfruit flower. Wang Lan, use this as your teaching material. This is a newly discovered toxin, and it has been spreading since May of this year. Wang Feng, activate the analyzer and analyze the crossfruit flower's pollen. Yes, sensei. There's no need, Wang Lan suddenly said. He reached out and took the test tube, activating the Takashi Hoshi decomposition technique. In an instant, the test tube outside shattered, and the poison inside the test tube drifted out. Wang Lan, what are you doing? This is the Takashi Hoshi toxin. Quickly put on your defenses. One of the seniors cried out in alarm, but his voice suddenly stopped, as if it was stuck in his throat. That was because the pollen that drifted out didn't spread. Instead, it seemed to be confined by an invisible force in Wang Lan's palm. This was because the toxin was extremely small, and it was difficult to see its state with the naked eye. However, in Wang Lan's perception, the toxin was rapidly being divided. The Takashi Hoshi decomposition technique was a technique that continuously separated the large molecules from the small molecules. The large molecules were separated into individual molecules, and then into atoms, protons, and so on. The feeling of being broken down bit by bit was very strange, and it made Wang Lan feel as if he were a god destroying everything. Even Sun Li was dumbfounded by the scene before her, let alone the students in the laboratory. 2 days. Takashi Hoshi had only taught the Takashi Hoshi decomposition technique for 2 days. 2 days to learn and master an S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique? Are you still human? Sun Li quickly recovered from her shock. Wang Lan's other hand was already holding a pen, and he was quickly writing down the toxin's formula on the blackboard. Sun Li suddenly recalled something that Wang Lan had said 2 days ago. Actually, I'm quite a fast learner. When it comes to learning, I've never been a coward. You've never been a coward? You're too humble. You call this a fast learner? Your way of speaking is too tactful. The difficulty of learning the Takashi Hoshi decomposition technique was extremely high, even among the S-rank Takashi Hoshi techniques. Otherwise, how could only 3 people in the entire world have successfully learned it? Of course, this didn't exclude the fact that the Takashi Hoshi technique couldn't be used in combat, which was why so few people learned it. But you learned it in 2 days? Aren't you looking down on us, Takashi Hoshi? Sun Li's expression quickly changed, and Wang Lan stopped what he was doing. He gently clenched his fist, and the decomposed toxin no longer had the characteristics of a toxin. Teacher, seniors, come back to your senses. Wang Lan shouted in dissatisfaction as he swept his gaze over everyone's state. Instantly, everyone came back to their senses, but their expressions were still strange. First, let's compile the corresponding and counteracting sequences. As Wang Lan spoke, he quickly wrote down the sequence of Takashi Hoshi toxins on the blackboard. Wang Lan's movements were as smooth as flowing water, but in the eyes of the students, he was no different from a monster. Didn't you just decompose the crossfruit flower's toxin? You wrote down the sequence of Takashi Hoshi toxins just like that? Don't you need to think about the entry point? Don't you need to write a draft? Don't you need to calculate? Look at your current state. It's as if you're copying something. If it were them, they would need at least 3 days to figure out the sequence of a star weapon's poison and edit the sequence of the poison that countered it. Moreover, It would take them 3 days to complete the task as a team. The process was very complicated. How could it be done just by imagining things out of thin air? And even if it was compiled, it would have to go through repeated deductions to make sure it was foolproof. You're so crazy. You're making us feel like we're trash. Wang Lan didn't know what the seniors behind him were thinking. But from Wang Lan's point of view, the process didn't seem particularly difficult. The chalk in his hand almost didn't stop as he wrote down the code. This is the sequence of the cross-fruit flowers toxin. The next step is the key. Wang Lan knocked on the blackboard. First, we have to find out which part of the human genome this gene should be embedded in. My suggestion is to directly insert it into the F genome. This gene has the least impact on the human body, so it won't cause any mutation. Extract the gene's code, then use the genetic coding formula to encode each code into the F genome. As he explained, he wrote down the code. In the blink of an eye, the 2 blackboards were filled with words. I'm done. Does everyone understand? Wang Lan threw down the chalk and turned around. Successfully compiled the cross-fruit flower pollen vaccine. Reward: 5,000 experience points and 300 skill points. The group of female seniors behind her stared at Wang Lan with their eyes wide open. This was especially true for the senior that Sun Li had always described as the one with the highest comprehension ability. Even Sun Li's twitching mouth betrayed her. Junior Wang Lan, to be honest, I didn't understand anything you said after the first word. One of the seniors clasped his fist and said to Wang Lan, Junior brother, although I don't understand what you're saying, it gives me an unfathomable feeling. As expected of Wang Lan, you're really well educated. Why don't you repeat it again? To be honest, when you said the 10th sentence, I yawned, and then I felt like I was in another dimension. I couldn't understand anything. Everyone expressed that they didn't understand. This made Wang Lan feel a little defeated. He turned around and looked at Sun Li. Teacher, you should understand, right? I could understand the first third, but the middle third was a little blurry. I couldn't understand the last third. Why don't you say it again? But class is about to start. Class my ass. Do you know what we're doing? We're trying to change the Takashi Hoshi's poison. Once we're done, we'll change the situation of the poison-type exotic beasts. We'll save millions of Takashi Hoshi and hundreds of millions of innocent humans. This will be a great achievement that will go down in history. Don't worry, I approve of you skipping class. All hail the teacher. Chapter 266. Every time he created a vaccine, he would receive 5,000 experience points and a few hundred skill points. As long as he could create 40 vaccine codes, he would be able to level up from Nebula 1 to Nebula 2. On top of that, his skills would also increase by 1 level. Wang Lan said that he could create 100 vaccine codes a day. However, although his dreams were perfect, reality gave him a huge discount. In order to not appear too shocking, Wang Lan didn't dare to go all out. After all, if he could decipher 100 Takashi Hoshi viruses a day and create a vaccine, by the time all the viruses were dealt with, it would be time for him to be executed. Even if he wasn't burned to death as a heretic, there was a high chance that he would be sent to the Research Institute to be dissected. Naturally, this was just a joke. In truth, every time he created a vaccine, Wang Lan would patiently explain every step of the process. For 7 to 8 days, Wang Lan felt that the words he had spoken in his entire life couldn't compare to the words he had spoken in these few days. Other than Sun Li, who had barely grasped the genetic formula codes, the other seniors were still listening to him with a dumbfounded look on their faces. No matter what he said, they still couldn't understand. Wang Lan, who rarely got angry, almost wanted to use virtue to convince them. I say, brothers and sisters, no matter what, you are all elites. I've already explained it so clearly. Why are you all still not enlightened? Didn't you say that your average IQ is 150? Are you sure you didn't underreport by 100? Wang Lan slammed a brick on the desk with a loud thud. The word "duh" was engraved on the brick in a square. During these few days, Wang Lan's prestige had been established. This was especially so after the first sample of the black-spotted spider's vaccine was sent back. Not only was the vaccine effective, but it was also tested perfectly on humans. All the seniors were completely convinced of Wang Lan's abilities. This was how the world worked. Although there was a saying that seniority mattered, ultimately, it was still the more impressive one. In addition, they were all students. There was no need to talk about seniority. Wang Lan had the strength of a teacher. Naturally, he had the prestige of a teacher as well. Even Buddha would get angry if he was forced into a corner. Wang Lan was so infuriated by this bunch of brainless students that his chest hurt. He couldn't care less about them and blurted out those classic teacher quotes without any pressure. "Student Wang Lan, are you sure this is easy?" Every step was as winding as a maze. Every small step had to take into account dozens of possibilities and simultaneously satisfy dozens of conditions. And there were hundreds of steps like this. Without the assistance of a computer, is this something that a human brain can do? Then why don't you use a computer? But I haven't mastered the formula yet. I can't edit it and bring it into the computing software. These three words were stuck in Wang Lan's throat like a fishbone. All right. Everyone has worked hard these past few days. Understanding and grasping the gene editing formula isn't something that could be done overnight. Otherwise, after Madame Wang Qi had announced it for so long, no one had jumped out to say that they had fully grasped it. With so many top scientists unable to master it, it is indeed not easy for you to master it in a few days. How about this? I'll give you a few days off tomorrow to relax your minds. Teacher, don't tell me you don't care if we live or die now that you've mastered it. A female student asked with a bitter expression. Ho, silly child, what are you talking about? Do you think I'm the kind of person to kick you to the curb after you've outlived your usefulness? The group of students nodded vigorously, not caring about Sun Li's face at all. Little Zhang, go and fax the virus vaccine we've been editing over the past few days to Jiai. Tell them to send us a sample as soon as possible. I plan to go into seclusion for a week, so don't disturb me if there's nothing important. Teacher, then do I have to stay here for a week to continue editing the virus vaccine? Wang Lan asked with glowing eyes. Without her teacher holding her back and without the burden of her senior brothers and sisters, Wang Lan could go all out. Earning 500,000 EXP in a day was not a problem. Just thinking about those days made him want to bubble. Sun Li looked at Wang Lan sympathetically, a sly glint in her eyes. Silly child, have you forgotten that you're still in school? Have you also forgotten how many classes you've missed? Why don't you go back and make up for the missing classes? Otherwise, you'll be embarrassed if you fail the makeup exam at the end of the semester. Didn't you? Wang Lan asked cautiously. Didn't you talk to the teachers? Did you help me settle it? Yes, I did. I only applied for 10 days of sick leave on your behalf. Wang Lan looked at Sun Li in horror. You're the kind of teacher who screws over her students. You'd better hurry up this week. When I come out of seclusion, I'll be busy again. The same goes for the other students. Experiment reports, learning experiences, and lecture notes. Don't leave anything out. I'll check them when I come out of seclusion. After leaving the medical department, Sun Li dragged his tired body back to his dorm. Compared to the two idiots in his dorm room, this was the real life of a university student. He dozed off in class every day, played games after class, and even went out for a barbecue together. You're early today? He Jing asked casually when she saw Wang Lan come back so early. I'm free. I'll go to class with you guys tomorrow. After replying, Sun Li lay down on his bed and sorted out his gains. Over the past 10 days, he had deciphered more than 80 types of Takashi Hoshi poison and gained less than 500,000 EXP and 30,000 SP. Not only had Takashi Hoshi reached Nebula 2, but it was also only a step away from Nebula 3. In order not to shock the world, Wang Lan chose to keep a low profile and went to the toilet to level up. He used Poop Escape to avoid being beaten up by his seniors. Wang Lan didn't use the 30,000 SP. Not only did he not need it right now, but it was also a joyous occasion. However, now that he had some free time, it was indeed time to consider the allocation of the SP. Life Hymn, Gold 2. As Wang Lan's talent, Takashi Hoshi was also Wang Lan's most important Takashi Hoshi skill. Healing through air and sports were not the most important skills for Wang Lan. What Wang Lan cared about was the ability to heal himself. The silver level 9 Takashi Hoshi could bring someone back to life. As long as his head wasn't chopped off instantly, Wang Lan was confident that he could revive with full HP. After evolving to gold, Life Him didn't seem to have any special changes when it came to healing himself. Alright, there was one. Limb regrowth. Even if his limbs were chopped off, they could quickly regrow under the self-healing light. Of course, if the enemy could chop off Wang Lan's limbs, it wouldn't be too difficult for them to chop off Wang Lan's head. Looking at it this way, this skill was still somewhat useless. It could regrow limbs, but not head. What was the point? Add points. He had to add points. After spending 10,000 SP to upgrade Life Him to Gold 9, Life Him didn't have any substantial changes. Apart from a number of healers increasing and the distance between healers increasing, there were no changes to healing himself. However, Wang Lan realized that wasn't the case at all when he thought about it carefully. Although he didn't show anything, Wang Lan felt that his body seemed to have undergone some changes. This feeling was like he was a budding flower, the kind that felt like it was about to bloom. Even after leveling up to Gold 9, this flower didn't bloom. Perhaps the powerful abilities derived from this would only manifest after he leveled up to Platinum 9. As for the other Takashi Hoshi skills, he probably wouldn't be able to fight them in competitions after he entered university. The chances of him fighting them alone would also become rare. From his understanding with his seniors, it was very necessary for him to master an AoE skill during his time in university. In the future, no matter if he went overseas to provide support or to explore new spaces for practice, a large AoE Takashi Hoshi skill would achieve results that a single Takashi Hoshi skill couldn't compare to when facing a group of exotic beasts. Wang Lan's Earth Gushing Sea of Flames was pretty good, so he upgraded it to Gold High. As for the other Takashi Hoshi skills, Phantom Trace was very good, Total Decomposition was also very impressive, and there were also the 4 great Takashi Hoshi skills, Inch Punch. All of them needed to be upgraded. It looked like he had 30,000 SP, but it wasn't enough at all. While Wang Lan was carefully and cautiously adding points to the system, far away in Sioux City's Jai Technology, Wang Chi's office was in a different mood. 3 days ago, Wang Chi had developed a sample of the black-spotted spider vaccine and sent it to Cebu Gakuen. He had thought that this was just a small interlude. Even if he wanted to mass-produce it, he would have to wait for some time. There weren't many poison-type exotic beasts in Jade State, and the black-spotted spiders usually lived in an alternate space in South Africa. Jade State hadn't provided support to that side for many years. However, he didn't expect that only 3 days had passed. There were more than 80 samples in one go. What the hell was going on? Could it be that there was a breakthrough in the vaccine against Takashi Hoshi, just like how he developed the life potion? However, Wang Chi had spent nearly 10 years developing the life potion, and it was only one type of potion. It was a potion that was suitable for most cancers. However, every Takashi Hoshi vaccine was different. At first, Wang Chi thought that the Takashi Hoshi vaccine was the result of years of research. However, it had only been a few days, and he had already conquered more than 80 vaccines. The pen kept spinning at his fingertips. After pondering for a long time, Wang Chi suddenly made a decision. Xiaoling, help me contact Cebu Gakuen. I want to visit them tomorrow. Okay. The next day, the first class in the morning was Zheng Gong's. Wang Lan came to the classroom early and opened his laptop in front of him. Frankly speaking, Wang Lan was in a state of panic right now. He was like a primary school student who forgot to do his homework and found out that the teacher was about to collect his homework. The classroom gradually filled up. When the bell rang, Zheng Gong stepped into the classroom with a lesson plan. Good morning, students. Today, we're going to talk about the knowledge related to memory engraving. First of all, I would like to solemnly state that memory engraving is a very dangerous project that requires extreme caution. Whether it's engraving someone else's memory or your own, it's all the same. If there's even the slightest mistake, the engraved brain will be destroyed. Once the brain is destroyed, the person will become an idiot. I'm not trying to scare you, but this kind of thing happened in Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai. I remember that it happened in the class of 2008. That year, a student experimented on his own without mastering the art of memory engraving. When he was stripping his own memory, his mental power was unstable and it exploded in his mind. As a result, his IQ was equivalent to that of a 3-year-old child, and his life was completely cut short. So, suddenly, Zhengong's voice stopped. His eyes swept across the classroom and unintentionally found the ostrich-like figure hiding behind the laptop. Huh, you finally know to come. Chapter 267. Wang Lan. Zheng Gong closed the lesson plan and shouted in a low voice, as if he was suppressing his anger. Wang Lan secretly sighed, poked his head out from behind the notebook, and stood up. Have you recovered? Zheng Gong's words immediately caused the whole classroom to burst into laughter. Takashi Hoshi's illness was a joke in the eyes of Takashi Hoshi. Wang Lan's leave request was especially awesome. Since the beginning of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen, no one had ever written such an awesome leave request in the 3 generations. I have a cold and am not feeling well, so I'm asking for a 10-day leave. Takashi Hoshi can catch a cold? Asking for a 10-day leave? Isn't this a joke? But what could he do? He had already disappeared. Even if he didn't approve the leave request, it wouldn't work. Such an outrageous leave request shouldn't have been approved at all. But who knew which idiot in the teaching department actually approved it? He couldn't vent his anger on the teaching department, so he could only vent it on Wang Lan. Now you finally appeared. Very good. I've recovered. Thank you for your concern, teacher. Very good. Then we'll postpone today's lesson. Let's do a retrospective lesson first to consolidate the knowledge we've learned. Come, Wang Lan, come up and cooperate with us. Wang Lan walked up to the podium with a bitter smile. Countless beautiful eyes behind him sent sincere blessings to Wang Lan. Wang Lan, hold on. Wang Lan, do your best. Let's start with the mirror image. Wang Lan, what are the main points of exploring someone's memory? First, induce the target to recall the relevant memory through language. Then, connect the target's brain with your mental strength and invade the target's brain to see the desired memory. Is there any other method besides this? Create an illusion. If you can't create an illusion, use intimidation, coercion, and other methods to sway the target's mind and create confusion. From there, you can find the entrance. What are the elements of the mirror image of someone else's memory? Synchronize your spiritual power. Synchronize your thoughts and images in your mind. Wang Lan was able to answer all of Zheng Gong's questions fluently. This made the students who initially thought that Wang Lan was going to make a fool of himself in public gradually put away their gloating expressions and instead revealed a trace of surprise. Is he sure he took 10 days off? Are you sure you didn't come to class? The way he answered so fluently, it didn't seem like he didn't come to class at all. How do I confirm that they're mentally synchronized? Wang Lan looked at Zheng Gong in confusion. Do we still need to confirm when we synchronize our spiritual powers? So what if they're synchronized? Finally, he asked a question that Wang Lan couldn't answer. Zheng Gong's old face finally hung. Just 3 days ago, I emphasized that the frequency of brain waves is very complicated and uncertain. To determine the connection of the brain waves, we need sophisticated instruments to detect the degree of connection between the brain waves. Once it reaches 70%, it must be disconnected immediately. Otherwise, it will damage the other party's brain, unless the other party is a spy you're interrogating, a traitor. But this kind of danger only appears before the brainwaves are connected. After the brainwaves are connected, you just need to control the other party's brainwaves to be on the same frequency as your own, right? Wang Lan raised this question because the gold-level spiritual imprint he had mastered told him this was the case. Wang Lan had always thought that the spiritual imprint was the best way to interrogate and ask for information. So he didn't hesitate to add precious skill points to the spiritual imprint and reach the gold level. If Zheng Gong knew that the spiritual imprint in Wang Lan's eyes was to extract information from other people's minds, he would probably be so angry that he would drag Wang Lan to his ancestor's tombstone and shoot him to appease his ancestor's soul in heaven. Wang Lan dared to swear on his own character that he really wasn't arguing with Professor Zhang. He was just purely and humbly raising his doubts. And teachers, weren't they supposed to teach students and solve their doubts? But these words were completely different in the ears of the students present. They silently gave him a thumbs up. As expected of you, a green spot in a field of flowers. If it wasn't a mutated flower, then it was a thorn in the field of flowers. Very good. Professor Zheng praised him very hard. With a click, the foldable space equipment on his wrist emitted a dazzling light. If Professor Zheng hadn't revealed it, no one would have known that the ordinary-looking watch on his wrist was actually a foldable space equipment worth tens of millions. Dong, with a soft sound, an upright equipment, like an intelligent guide robot installed at the entrance of shopping mall's elevator, appeared in the classroom. This is a brainwave connection detection equipment. It can directly let people see the connection of brainwaves. The possibility you mentioned just now. Come, let's try to connect the brainwaves. Is it right for you or for me? Teacher, that's not what I meant. Aren't you doubtful? After the brainwaves are connected, it's not easy to break free. So if you have doubts about what I said, then test it. After all, practice is the standard to test the truth. Since Zheng Gong said so, Wang Lan also let go of his worries. He followed Zheng Gong's method and put his hand on the other crystal ball of the equipment. Send your spiritual force into the equipment as if it's a spiritual exploration. This shouldn't be difficult for you. Are you ready? Yes. Begin. In an instant, silvery white light gushed out of both of their bodies at the same time, as if a holy light. To be able to apply theory to practical operation, Wang Lan's performance had already surprised many students in the class. Except for those who were born with strong spiritual force and had talent and illusions, and some who had learned spiritual imprint early on, normal students who started from scratch were far from being able to reach this level. As for Wang Lan's performance, it was both surprising and easy to accept. They just thought that Wang Lan was a child of a Takashi Hoshi family. He had learned a similar ability a long time ago. Spiritual force connection, 100% connection. The equipment's prompt sounded, and all the students were stunned. This equipment, was it stuttering? It was not like they had never connected before. Was it the normal procedure for a spiritual connection? 10%, 50%, 80% connection? The slow ones might be pushed up by 5%. What did you mean by 100%? Although the students were puzzled, Zheng Gong's expression changed. Because the moment he released the spiritual connection signal, Wang Lan's spiritual force wrapped around him like an octopus. Moreover, the active connection was completed in an instant, and the connection was 100%? What kind of spiritual control ability was this? Wang Lan, this child, how high was his spiritual imprint talent? Just as Zheng Gong was thinking about how high Wang Lan's spiritual imprint talent was, Wang Lan's voice sounded in his mind. Teacher Zheng, actually, my spiritual imprint talent is not very high. You think too highly of me by treating me as the hope to save the spiritual imprint. The appearance of this voice shocked Zheng Gong even more. He could read his thoughts without him noticing. Impossible. Teacher, what's the next step? I'm going to try to break free from the spiritual connection with you. Let's see how you're going to stop me. Zheng Gong calmed his mind and immediately controlled his spiritual force to mess up the frequency of his brainwaves. But just as he started to control it, his spiritual force was like a pool of stagnant water, motionless. The spiritual connection's prompt was still 100%. At this time, Wang Lan began to move. Wang Lan stretched out his hand and lazily stretched. Zheng Gong, who was beside him, did the exact same action as Wang Lan at the same time. Even his angry expression was completely synchronized. This scene made all the students stand up in surprise. Damn, is this real? Wang Lan is controlling Professor Zheng? As expected of the man I fancy. He's too good. Cough, cough, cough. Students, be more reserved. Student Wang Lan has a girlfriend. Does he? Who is it? The law awakened Jiang Xinyu. I heard it from his dormitory. He Jing. That woman, she's a bit fierce. We can't afford to offend her. Wang Lan, why don't you sing a song? Wang Lan, dance and spin. There were 48 students in Class 1, and 40 of them were girls. Such a joyous scene immediately exposed the girls' true nature. Besides, was there a difference between men and women in the world of Takashi Hoshi? I'm not afraid to tell you that in the world of Takashi Hoshi, women could be more masculine than men and more rogue than men. Student, please don't insult me. I sell my body, not my skills. It was normal for Wang Lan to say this, but it was said by Zheng Gong. His integrity was at stake. Wang Lan hurriedly disconnected from Zheng Gong's spiritual connection. After regaining his freedom, Zheng Gong looked at Wang Lan in surprise. No one could understand the despair Zheng Gong experienced when he was controlled by Wang Lan. That body didn't belong to him. It was like a puppet. Wang Lan used the puppet technique to create a mental connection. This was something that even Zheng Gong couldn't imagine. However, this didn't mean that Wang Lan's spiritual inscription water skin surpassed Zheng Gong's. At least, Zheng Gong didn't think so. However, this at least proved that Wang Lan's attainments in low-level fields had surpassed Zheng Gong's. This talent once again made Zheng Gong gasp in surprise. What did Wang Lan say just now? His spiritual inscription talent wasn't that good? Humble, he was too humble. Quiet. All right, the atmosphere is lively enough. Let's continue the class. Wang Lan, go back to your seat. Although you've mastered the spiritual connection, you still need to pay attention. There are some things that you can do, but not necessarily right. Wang Lan returned to his seat and started the class. In the reception room of the Academic Affairs Office, a young assistant served a cup of fragrant coffee to Wang Qi. In the past, Wang Qi wouldn't have been able to come to Cebu Gakuen so casually, even if she was a top Ph.D. student in biology. But now, Wang Qi was no longer the Wang Qi of the past. She was no longer a top scientist in the field of biological genetics. She was the only scientist in the world. She was also an outstanding talent who had been awarded the Scientific Advancement Award by the United Nations. Even Cebu Gakuen would treat her as a guest of honor. A spirited old man sat across from Wang Qi. Dr. Wang Qi, I'm the Vice Dean of Cebu Gakuen. May I know the reason for your sudden visit? I'd like to ask if there's a teacher named Sun Li in your school. Director Sun? She's the head of our medical department. May I ask what's up with her? Over the past few days, our company has received dozens of faxes from Teacher Sun Li requesting that we produce samples for her. Each sample is a vaccine for a type of Takashi Hoshi toxin. I'm guessing that Teacher Sun Li has already mastered the method to develop a vaccine for Takashi Hoshi toxin. That's why she's here. What? Is there such a thing? The Vice Dean stood up abruptly. Chapter 268. The antidote for Takashi Hoshi's poison had always been to develop an antidote for Takashi Hoshi's poison, then use the right medicine to treat it. How could there be a vaccine? However, the vice president knew that Wang Qi wouldn't travel 200 kilometers in her busy schedule to fool him. After digesting the shock in his heart, ecstasy instantly filled the vice president's heart. What did it mean to have a vaccine for Takashi Hoshi? It was an epoch-making change. Aside from the demon race, who could invade at any time, the only other threat facing the human race was the seemingly endless horde of mutated beasts that could never be killed. Exotic beasts were strange and had all kinds of abilities. Among all these exotic beasts, which one was the most troublesome? It was undoubtedly the poison-type exotic beasts. As of now, there was no effective way to suppress poison-type exotic beasts. The vice president could instantly imagine what it meant to have more than 80 vaccines for Takashi Hoshi's poison developed in just a few days. With this shortcoming fixed, the threat of exotic beasts to humanity was reduced once again. And the one who developed the Takashi Hoshi's vaccine was Cebu Gakuen. The vice president wanted to laugh when he thought of this. Of the four major Cebu Gakuen, Shanghai was the latest to be established. But it couldn't be the youngest, right? Cebu Gakuen had the strength, and it also had Di Lao as its president. The successor of Emperor Qing, the son of Yin Emperor, was in Cebu Gakuen. No matter what, it should be the head of Jade State College. And the vaccine against Takashi Hoshi's poison was developed by Sibu Gakuen. He, Nangongming, had something to say at the next meeting of the Ministry of Education. Madam Wang Qi, please wait a moment. I'll make a call. The vice president hurriedly took out his phone and dialed. After a long time, he put down his phone with a frown and dialed again. Go and see what Director Sun Li is doing. If you find her, tell her to call me immediately. Director Nangong, can I take a look at your medical department? Of course, I'll take you there. The medical department was a 3-story building. Although it wasn't very high, it occupied a large area. Even though Sun Li had gone into seclusion, the medical department was still operating. In addition to the students who came to do experiments and study, the medical department had many elites recruited from outside. They were not students of Shanghai Sibu Gakuen, but they were employees of Shanghai Sibu Gakuen. The third floor is the Takashi Hoshi Toxin Research Institute. Our academy has invested a lot in the research of Takashi Hoshi Toxin. The research institute started 13 years ago and cost about 8 billion yuan. The research on Takashi Hoshi toxins has always been one of our main research topics, and Director Sun Li is one of the top medical experts in the country on Takashi Hoshi. But unfortunately, any injury, pain, illness, or disability, all of them could be treated with Takashi Hoshi's medical skills, but Takashi Hoshi's poison was difficult to treat. The killing radius of Takashi Hoshi's poison is too large. A single cloud of poison can cover an area of over 100 kilometers. Takashi Hoshi wouldn't be able to treat all of them. Therefore, we can only research Takashi Hoshi's poison to create an antidote. Suddenly, Wang Qi stopped in her tracks. Along the way, she didn't notice anything different from the other research institutes. But when she walked outside the classroom, Wang Qi saw what she wanted to see. On the blackboard in the classroom was a complicated coding formula for Takashi Hoshi's poison. Wang Qi was the only one who could read the coding formula. Can I go in? Of course. Wang Qi entered the classroom and looked up at the code on the blackboard. No matter how she looked at it, it felt familiar. Her brows furrowed slightly. It wasn't the code, but the handwriting. Hello, Madam Wang Qi, Vice Director. Sun Li's voice rang out as she walked into the office. Director Sun, why is your phone turned off? I remember telling you that your phones must be switched on 24 hours a day. I'm in seclusion, Sun Li replied nonchalantly. I'm writing a thesis. I only have 7 days, so it's quite rushed. Thesis. The vice director immediately thought of the Takashi Hoshi's poison vaccine. He didn't pursue the matter and nodded silently. Madam Wang Qi, are you here to look for me? Wang Qi was now a famous scientist, so Sun Li recognized her at a glance. A hint of envy flashed across Sun Li's eyes as she looked at Wang Qi. She was almost 40 years old, but she still looked like she was in her 20s. Teacher Sun gave me over 80 vaccine samples in one go. I was really shocked. With so many samples, I had to verify them in person. I'm sorry, I didn't think it through. Sun Li had indeed thought of things as simple as they could be. She thought that it was easy to make 80 samples. However, one serving was just a piece of cake, but 80 of them were all different. This was a huge project. When I first received the vaccine code, I felt a sense of familiarity. After some careful analysis, I discovered that the vaccine was created using a genetic coding formula. Am I right? Sun Li looked at Wang Qi, her eyes flashing. Madam Wang Qi, are you trying to charge us for the patent? Or are you not allowed to use it? I've already published the formula, so of course I don't have such thoughts. It's just a little strange. According to my estimations, the second person to master the formula and use it in practice would take at least 3 years. It hasn't even been 3 months. But now I understand. It's Wang Lan, isn't it? Sun Li smiled. As expected, I can't hide it from you, Madam Wang. The genetic coding formula is really difficult to learn. Wang Lan taught me for 10 whole days before I could just barely use it. But you're actually able to come up with such a formula. I really don't know how to describe it. I didn't come up with the formula. My late husband wrote it down 10 years ago. I spent 10 years researching it before I finally understood it. It's not easy for you to learn how to use it in 10 days. How long did Wang Lan take to learn it? You don't know how arrogant he was. He was my student, but I couldn't do anything about it. Wang Lan. Wang Lan smiled gently. Under Sun Li's gaze, Wang Qi shook her head. I've never worried about Wang Lan's studies, and I've never taught him. But at the beginning of this year, he learned about the formula. I always thought that he would be too busy with the provincial martial competition to be interested in something like this. Who would have thought? Sun Li felt that she shouldn't have asked. Wang Lan was like a mudslide in the sea of geniuses. No matter what kind of genius you were in the past, you'd be turned into an idiot by the mudslide. Teacher Sun, is the paper you mentioned about the successful development of the Takashi Hoshi vaccine? Yes. Is Wang Lan's name on it? Yes. The first name is Wang Lan. In fact, he could even sign it with his own name. After all, the Takashi Hoshi vaccine was developed by him alone. I'm just learning from him. Without Teacher Sun's name, the paper might not be taken seriously. After all, you're saying that a first-year student developed a problem that has troubled us for hundreds of years? That's not right. Thank you for your understanding, Professor Wang. I've decided to set up a production line that specializes in the production of the Takashi Hoshi vaccine. If your school is interested, we can set up a joint venture company. Really? The vice president's eyes lit up when he heard this. Even an idiot would know the benefits of a joint venture with the Takashi Hoshi vaccine company. The only company in the world that had the ability to produce gene vaccines was Wang Qi's Jiai Biotechnology. There was no need for Wang Qi to form a joint venture with Shanghai Sibu Gakuen. Even if Shanghai Sibu Gakuen was the one who developed the vaccine, Wang Qi could just ignore Shanghai Sibu Gakuen. Therefore, Wang Qi's proposal was akin to giving Shanghai Sibu Gakuen free money. Of course, that's the main reason I'm here. Very well, we can talk about it in detail. I still have to write my paper. Professor Wang, Vice President, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. After Sun Li left, Wang Qi was brought to the president's office by the vice president. Teacher, long time no see. Is your body still healthy? Wang Qi asked Di Lao warmly. His attitude was the complete opposite of when he first met Ma Bo. Good, good. My body isn't any worse than yours. I heard from Vice President Nangong that you're planning to form a joint venture with Sibu Gakuen to develop a vaccine for Takashi Hoshi. If Nangong didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known that a vaccine for Takashi Hoshi has already been developed. Good. This vaccine is related to the future of humanity. I'll support it with all my might. Wang Lan didn't know about his aunt's visit until he received a phone call from her in the afternoon. Wang Lan happily invited Wang Qi to a meal at Shanghai Sibu Gakuen Restaurant, or Sibu Gakuen's cafeteria. Wang Lan had never seen his aunt for more than 2 months. He was in high spirits. As for when Wang Lan had grasped the genetic coding formula, Wang Qi didn't even ask. Wang Qi had never doubted Wang Lan's learning ability. In other words, he was already used to Wang Lan's monstrous level of learning. His aunt didn't stay the night in Shanghai. After dinner, Wang Qi hurried back to Sioux City. His aunt's visit was nothing more than a small interlude in Wang Lan's university life. 4 days later, Sun Li came out of seclusion and handed her paper to Wang Lan for revision. After all, Wang Lan was a true professional when it came to editing Takashi Hoshi's vaccine. Wang Lan only lacked experience in writing papers and formatting. After 3 days of revision, the final version was finalized by the two of them. There were 2 important steps mentioned in the paper. The first step was to deconstruct the Takashi Hoshi toxin and edit the corresponding Takashi Hoshi toxin. This part belonged to Shanghai Sibu Gakuen. The second step was to edit the Takashi Hoshi toxin into a vaccine using the genetic coding formula. This was Wang Lan's contribution. In terms of contribution, Wang Lan and Shanghai Sibu Gakuen each took half. Sun Li was in charge of publishing the rest of the paper. Wang Lan returned to the days when he spent his free time in a medical department researching Takashi Hoshi toxin. Although it was busy, Wang Lan enjoyed it. 3 to 5 vaccines were developed every day. He earned 20 to 30,000 experience points and 1,000 skill points every day. Smells good. How nice. Sinyu, it's my birthday today, Lan Shi said on Saturday afternoon while playing with his phone. Oh, happy birthday. Jiang Sinyu closed her eyes and cultivated her astral power control. I'll treat you to dinner tonight. Just treat it as celebrating my birthday with me. Jiang Sinyu opened her eyes and looked at Lan Shi in confusion. Although the two of them were roommates, Jiang Sinyu and Lan Shi weren't best friends. At least, the two of them only talked after they returned to the dorm. Moreover, the two of them didn't have much in common. Therefore, Jiang Sinyu was a little confused by Lan Shi's invitation. But after a moment, he nodded and said, "Okay." Chapter 269. You want to buy a present? Wang Lan answered Jiang Sinyu's call in the medical lab. What? It's Lan Shi's birthday today, and he's treating me to dinner. I want to buy a present. Are you free? It's okay if you're not. I can go alone. Wang Lan, I'll give you half a day off this afternoon, Sun Li said as she looked up from her complicated formula. She had completely forgotten that today was Saturday, a holiday. Wang Lan was forced to work as a coolie. Oh, okay. Sinyu, are you free? When? Let's go now. We'll go out for dinner. Speaking of which, it had been almost a month since he last ate with Jiang Sinyu. Wang Lan didn't know if it was because distance made the heart grow fonder, but this time when he saw Jiang Sinyu, he found Jiang Sinyu to be very beautiful. Even though it was the end of October, Wang Lan couldn't find a single flaw in Jiang Sinyu's white sleeveless dress, her long straight hair, and her delicate facial features. Seeing Wang Lan constantly looking at her face, Jiang Sinyu pretended not to notice, but in her heart, she was secretly pleased. This blockhead, has he finally learned his lesson? The whole world knows that I'm as beautiful as a flower. Since school started, boys have lined up to hit on me. A fool like you has treated me as a brother since we were young. Although this was the fault of her childhood sweetheart, Jiang Sinyu was still very unhappy. Now, she finally saw Wang Lan's eyes that didn't belong to the friends who hugged each other's shoulders and hammered each other's chest. Right? Is it just you and Lan Shi tonight? Yes, that's what she said. Isn't Yu Ruoyun in your dorm? Yu Ruoyun is on duty at the student union today. Also, Lan Shi doesn't dare to invite her. Doesn't dare? Why? Have you forgotten Yu Ruoyun's identity? She's the princess of the great Jade royal family, Di Lao's great-granddaughter and the Eastern Emperor's niece. Lan Shi doesn't dare. So what? I feel that Yu Ruoyun is quite approachable. She doesn't have princess syndrome either. When the dishes were served, Wang Lan and Jiang Sinyu chatted while eating. You're the only one who feels that way. Even if Yu Ruoyun was really amiable and approachable with her status, it was a kind of pressure to others. That's true. You might not be able to feel it. Your status isn't bad either. Don't talk nonsense. I'm just a commoner. Although Yu Ruoyun really doesn't have any overbearing behavior. But how should I put it? Maybe it's caused by the environment she grew up in. Yu Ruoyun's every move showed the aura of a noble. Speaking of which, I don't even dare to speak loudly in front of her. You don't like to talk loudly, right? Yu Ruoyun seems to have broken through to Galaxy late stage. She was only in her second year of university, so breaking through to the Star Sea realm by the time she was in her fourth year would not be a problem. He's already a pinnacle expert upon graduation. His talent is so high that it makes others despair. These aren't the words of Jiang Sinyu, who has always refused to submit to heaven and earth. That's because I used to be a frog at the bottom of a well. In a small place like Sioux City, I thought that all the geniuses in the world were like this. But when I came to Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai, I saw that it was completely different. In the school, most of the people were once number one. Any one of them is not below me in strength. So how can I still be arrogant? Right? What have you been busy with recently? The medical department developing a Takashi Hoshi toxin vaccine. A Takashi Hoshi toxin vaccine? There's already such a thing? There wasn't before, but since I came, there has been. Caught off guard by Wang Lan's success in showing off, Jiang Sinyu choked and rolled her eyes. After dinner, they strolled around Phoenix Square for the whole afternoon. As a birthday gift for a classmate, Jiang Sinyu didn't buy anything expensive. She spent 10,000 yuan on a bag. The two returned to school at 3 in the afternoon. After parting ways with Jiang Xinyu, Wang Lan returned to the medical department to continue developing his Takashi Hoshi toxin vaccine. Nothing could stop Wang Lan from earning experience and skill points, except for Jiang Xinyu. Night fell, and the lights were on. The night view of Shanghai was much more colorful than the night view of Sioux City, especially Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen, which was the economic center around the city. After dinner, Jiang Xinyu was led by Lan Qi to Emperor's KTV. Jiang Xinyu didn't like karaoke with people she didn't know. But today was Lan Qi's birthday, and Jiang Xinyu couldn't win against her, so she agreed. As for safety, Jiang Xinyu wasn't worried at all. She was in the middle stage of nebulous stage, while Lan Qi was in the late stage of nebulous stage. Even if she encountered a Takashi Hoshi master, she had to know where she was. It was less than 700 meters away from Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen. It could even be said that it was right at the entrance of Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen. There were actually quite a number of Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen students who came to karaoke here. Everyone was human, so it was necessary to relax and have fun. For example, there were no princesses in the KTV of other places, and they didn't dare to have them here. How dare you hide so close to Shanghai's Cebu Gakuen? Who are you trying to poison? Therefore, Emperor's KTV was also known as the cleanest KTV in the world. Lan Qi asked for a private room. The equipment inside was all top-notch recording studio equipment. Perhaps the owner of Emperor's KTV didn't expect to make money from this place. In addition to the recording equipment, there was also a holographic VR game room. Although it was called a KTV, it was actually a high-tech entertainment experience park. There was also a swimming pool behind the private room, a sauna. All the entertainment you could think of was available here. Lan Qi called the waiter over and ordered some drinks. He looked at Jiang Xinyu, who had just finished singing a song, and handed her a glass of fruit juice. Xinyu, your singing is really good. If you sign with a company, you'll definitely be more popular than illusory magic voice. You're flattering me. Actually, my singing isn't that good. Wang Lan used to complain about me before. He said that I'm tone deaf and that it's a waste of my celebrity face. Fisk, that's his nonsense. If your singing isn't good, then what am I? A pig's croak? Kakik. There was a knock on the door of the private room. Lan Qi's expression suddenly changed. He walked to the door hesitantly and opened it after a slight hesitation. Jiang Xinyu, how are you? Duan Muyi appeared at the door with a glass of red wine in his hand. Lan Qi turned his body slightly. Duan Muyi walked into the private room as if he was dancing. Seeing Duan Muyi, Jiang Xinyu's expression darkened. She slowly stood up. Suddenly, her expression changed drastically. She glared angrily at Lan Qi, who lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Jiang Xinyu. Instantly, Jiang Xinyu's astral power surged. Don't waste your energy. This is Takashi Hoshi's poison. This is the poison of a silver-crowned snake that lives in the southern forests of White Eagle. It's colorless and odorless. When mixed with liquid, it's impossible to detect. Moreover, this poison is a strong aphrodisiac. Even Takashi Hoshi can't resist its strong effects. Also, the more you struggle, the faster the poison will take effect. Duan Muyi held the glass of red wine and took a sip proudly. Ever since I was young, I've never failed to get what I wanted. Never. So, you won't be an exception. Jiang Xinyu glared angrily at Duan Muyi. Her finger tapped lightly, and the phone on the table quietly activated. Jiang Xinyu's phone was the same as Wang Lan's. There was an ice program inside. Once it was activated, the ice program would automatically activate. With the intelligence of the ice program, it could naturally determine Jiang Xinyu's situation. Wang Lan, who had just finished editing a Takashi Hoshi's vaccine in the medical department, heaved a sigh of relief. Suddenly, the phone vibrated violently. Wang Lan picked up the phone. His expression changed instantly, and he jumped up. Under the shocked gaze of the senior beside him, he disappeared in a flash. I don't understand. How is our Duanmu military merit not worthy of your Zhang's group? In terms of foundation, assets, and connections, the Zhang's group can't compare to us. Why can't we work together? Why do you have to use extreme methods? Young Master Duanmu, I'll leave first, Lan Chi said softly. He was about to turn around when Duan Muyi stopped him. What's the rush? You'll have to record us later. You've already done it, so there's no need to feel uneasy. No matter how guilty you feel, she won't forgive you. Since you want to rely on the Duanmu family, I'll tell you a special rule of the Duanmu family. When you make a move, don't be soft-hearted. After you make a move, don't regret it. As the saying goes, every minute of a romantic night is worth 1,000 gold. Classmate Jiang Xinyu, I won't let you wait for long. Suddenly, the star power around Jiang Xinyu boiled. Duan Muyi was shocked. He stopped in his tracks and took half a step back. However, the attack he expected didn't appear. Suddenly, a layer of frost spread around Jiang Xinyu's body. The ice layer quickly thickened, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a small ice mountain. Ice armor defense? Haha, Jiang Xinyu. How long do you think a layer of ice armor can protect you? We have an entire night to play slowly. In an instant, Duan Muyi appeared in front of Jiang Xinyu. A bright red flame suddenly appeared on his palm, and he pressed it against the ice sculpture of Jiang Xinyu. Whoosh, water vapor rose, and smoke curled up. Jiang Xinyu's star power kept surging to strengthen the defense of the ice armor. This was the only Takashi Hoshi technique that Jiang Xinyu's slow body could release. However, this was equivalent to competing with Duan Muyi's star power. Moreover, it was the kind of competition where one would lose 2,000 star power to kill 500 enemies. Duan Muyi was an early-stage galaxy expert, and his strength was much higher than Jiang Xinyu's. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Xinyu's armor was suppressed by Duan Muyi. The ice mountain melted quickly, and the ice turned into a stream that spread in the room. Wang Lan looked at his phone and arrived at the Emperor Hotel based on the ice and snow. In an instant, a murderous look appeared in his eyes, and he rushed into the KTV. Sorry, classmate. We've booked this floor. Please go to another floor. A classmate from Cebu Gakuen looked at Wang Lan's uniform and warned him politely. Get lost. Classmate, you're very arrogant. Whoosh! Electric arcs instantly shot out, and the classmate opposite him was suddenly attacked by Wang Lan. However, soon, more than 10 seniors appeared in the corridor. Every one of them was at least at the mid-late nebulous stage. If it were Wang Lan with his normal strength, he might not be able to defeat any of them. Moreover, Jiang Xinyu was still asking for help. Without hesitation, a phoenix tail emblem lit up between Wang Lan's eyebrows. Phoenix form, open. Chapter 270. Boom. In Wang Lan's phoenix form, even Wang Lan, who was at the peak of the galaxy, could punch them to death. How could a group of mid-stage and late-stage nebula weaklings withstand a single punch from Wang Lan? Fortunately, Wang Lan still retained some rationality and didn't kill them. Otherwise, this group of Cebu Gakuen students wouldn't have just broken a few arms and ribs. They would have died directly. Crack, crack, crack. The iceberg was covered in cracks, like pieces of peeling wall. No matter how hard Jiang Xinyu tried to create ice, she couldn't keep up with the speed at which the ice was being peeled off. Duan Muyi was like a sculptor. He looked proud and elegant as he peeled off the layer of ice on Jiang Xinyu's body bit by bit. It was as if he was admiring a piece of art that he had created. Don't worry, this Takashi Hoshi poison won't leave any residue in your body after it flares up. Also, you'll be very active when it flares up. Plus, I have a video camera here as proof. Even if you take it to court, I have enough evidence to prove that you did it willingly. We're all adults. Don't be so pretentious. Okay. Boom. With a loud bang, the door to the private room instantly exploded. A phoenix bathed in flames spread its wings and soared at the door. Jiang Xinyu, whose heart had been raised to her throat, saw the phantom of the phoenix, and the corners of her mouth revealed a relieved smile. The ice on her body instantly shattered and fell off. In a flash, Wang Lan appeared beside Jiang Xinyu and supported Jiang Xinyu, who was on the verge of collapsing. What happened? Duan Muyi ordered Lan Chi to drug me. Jiang Xinyu said, panting. There was no need for her to say much. One sentence was enough. In an instant, Wang Lan's anger rose to the top of her head, and her eyes turned blood red. Life him. A white light connected to Jiang Xinyu like a slender chain. Jiang Xinyu's body flashed with white light. Oh, it's you again. Although I admire you for being willing to sacrifice yourself to save your girlfriend. However, I have to remind you that I am a direct descendant of the Duanmu clan, Duanmu Yi. If you offend me, you have to think about whether you can withstand the wrath of the Duanmu clan. It's not easy for you to get into Shanghai, Cebu Gakuen, but I can make you pack up and leave any time. In fact, I can guarantee that not a single Cebu Gakuen will dare to accept you. You'll be stuck at. Boom! A fiery fist smashed towards Duan Muyi's face. Duan Muyi's words came to an abrupt halt as he hastily raised his hand to block. However, Wang Lan's punch was too fast. Even Duan Muyi, who was at the intermediate stage of the Celestial River Realm, could not react in time to the furious attack of the Phoenix. A punch landed on Duan Muyi's face, and Duan Muyi's body instantly flew backwards, smashing through the walls of the private room and flying far away. The flames around Wang Lan's body surged violently, and the surrounding walls instantly shattered. The moment the walls shattered, Wang Lan's figure disappeared. Wang Lan, Jiang Xinyu, who had recovered, exclaimed. Duan Muyi's face was swollen as he flew backwards, and he stared blankly at the droplets of blood dancing in front of him. He dared to hit me? I was actually hit. Ha ha ha! Someone actually dared to hit me. In an instant, anger exploded in his chest, and his body froze in midair. Just as he was about to rush back to find Wang Lan, a ball of flames rushed towards him. Very good. Duan Muyi's figure flashed as he rushed towards Wang Lan. He would fall. Duan Muyi stretched out his palm, and a sharp ebony stick emerged from his palm, stabbing towards Wang Lan as fast as lightning. Crackle! A sharp sound of thunder rang out, and a dazzling electric arc gathered in Wang Lan's hand. The electric arc turned into a gorgeous thunderblade and instantly clashed with Duan Muyi's ebony stick. Boom! Wood chips flew everywhere. The hardness of ebony was comparable to steel, and the wood attribute Takashi Hoshi technique had the characteristic of absorbing the star power of others. Although Takashi Hoshi didn't have it, the wood attribute Takashi Hoshi technique did. Therefore, when fighting a wood attribute Takashi Hoshi, it was best to end the battle at the beginning. Otherwise, once the opponent dragged on, the wood attribute would become stronger and stronger. The combination of the violent lightning and the flaming blade gave the thunder blade an unimaginable sharpness. The incomparably hard ebony quickly crumbled under the devastation of the thunderblade. Wang Lan's figure rushed towards Duan Muyi again, and the phoenix wings on his back flapped. His figure quickly destroyed the ebony stick and arrived in front of Duan Muyi. Impossible! How can he be so strong? Duan Muyi couldn't believe it. A new student who had just started school for less than 2 months actually had the strength of a galaxy grade? How is this possible? Did he think he was Euroyan? However, Wang Lan had already arrived in front of Duan Muyi. The thunder blade in his hand was raised high, and like a flash of lightning in the night sky, it slashed down. Slash! Duan Muyi was split in half in the air, but that was just a wooden substitute. The real Duan Muyi suddenly appeared behind Wang Lan. Coil! In an instant, Duan Muyi's palm turned into jet black vines and wrapped around Wang Lan like a mummy. Wild python, soul devouring. Then, one of the vines turned into a jet black python. It opened its bloody mouth and bit down on Wang Lan's head. In an instant, purple flames ignited around Wang Lan's body. Boom! The vines instantly shattered, and a phoenix bathed in purple flames spread its wings and flew high. How is this possible? Duan Muyi exclaimed in his heart. If he had only thought that Wang Lan was very strong before, then at this moment, Duan Muyi felt that he couldn't beat him. He was too strong. Even the vines that could devour astral power couldn't bind Wang Lan. This had never happened before in his cultivation history. Duanmui's vine's ability to absorb astral power was 10 times that of other wood-type Takashi Hoshi techniques. Almost everyone who was bound by the vines would go limp until the last drop of their astral power was sucked dry. Not to mention using Takashi Hoshi to break free of the vines, they wouldn't even be able to use any strength. However, in front of Wang Lan, Duanmui only felt that the death coil he had learned might be fake. Were those who had their astral power sucked dry, just acting? Otherwise, how could he be so useless? As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Duanmui faced Wang Lan's furious punch. Without hesitation, Duanmui hurriedly opened his Star Palace and summoned his Star Palace divine weapon, the Azure Dragon Armor. The Azure Dragon Armor was a Star Palace divine weapon bestowed upon the Duanmui family, one of the 4 dragon protector families, back in the Dynasty era. It was also compatible with the Duanmui family's wood attribute. The moment he put on the armor, Wang Lan's punch arrived in front of his face. Boom! A ripple spread out from Duanmui's armor. This punch caused a shockwave that blew away the clouds in the sky. Dazzling stars shone in the night sky. This was the first time people saw dazzling stars in the night sky of Demonic City. However, Wang Lan, who was in the sky, felt that something was wrong the moment the punch landed. A sea of astral power was crazily rushing toward Duanmui. This was a devouring speed that the wood-type Takashi Hoshi techniques couldn't compare to. Ha ha! Kid, you're good at fighting, aren't you? Your strength really makes me look at you in a different light. In an instant, Wang Lan's fist exploded with dazzling electric arcs. The moment the electric arcs exploded, Wang Lan's fist broke free from the suction of the Azure Dragon Armor. Wang Lan instantly retreated. Do you know what the Takashi Hoshi family is? The Takashi Hoshi family has a foundation that you can't even imagine. No matter how talented you are, no matter how hard you work, you can't make up for the difference. The Azure Dragon Armor on my body can absorb all the astral power from attacks and convert it into my own strength. No matter what you do, you won't be able to hurt a single hair on my body. Moreover, you violated the taboo of fighting in the city. You'll be punished by the school and then punished by the law. As for me, nothing will happen to me. I have plenty of ways to kill you, but you can't change anything. When you go in, your woman will still be mine. As for your family and friends, I'll slowly play with them. Kid, anger will only burn your reason. Anger will only turn you into a pile of mud. Are you very angry now? You can't wait to kill me? Ha ha ha. But you can't do it. Wang Lan's eyes turned cold. In an instant, the astral power around his body surged, and his Star Palace opened. Seeing the revolving nebula in Wang Lan's Star Palace, Duanmui was astonished. Nebula? You're the King Nebula? A nebula could actually beat him, a mid-stage galaxy stage cultivator, to the point that he had to wear the Azure Dragon Armor? No, I can't let you make a comeback. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome in the future. However, in the next instant, Duanmui's face turned sluggish, because in an instant, an azure phoenix drilled out of Wang Lan's Star Palace. A metallic phoenix flapped its wings and arrived above Wang Lan. In an instant, the phoenix shattered and turned into pieces of armor that automatically covered Wang Lan's body. The Phoenix constellation's bronze saint robe had awakened in the form of a phoenix. Wang Lan felt the endless power surging out of his body. Once again, he rushed towards Duanmui and threw out another punch. This time, his fiery fist landed on Duanmui's chest. It's no use. The more you attack, the faster you'll die. Hit me however you want. If you hurt me, I'll... A powerful force came from the armor on his chest. Duanmui's face changed drastically. How could this be? Why couldn't it absorb astral power? No. As expected, the Azure Dragon Armor's ability to absorb astral power was suppressed by the Saint Garment. Wang Lan's eyes instantly lit up with flames. The purple flames around him spewed out even more. He waved his hands, and his fists with flames bloomed like a peacock spreading its tail. The countless fists were all gold-grade 1-inch punches in the form of phoenix. Just a simple punch could smash a tank. Countless fists landed on Duanmui's body. Even the Star Palace's divine weapon couldn't withstand it. His body fell rapidly as Wang Lan pinned him down and beat him up. But this wasn't what frightened Duan Muyi the most. What frightened Duan Muyi the most was that the azure dragon armor on his body actually cracked. Pieces after pieces, just like the ice armor peeled off from Jiang Sinyu's body. When the azure dragon armor cracked to a certain extent, its defense would naturally reach a critical point. In the next instant, Duan Muyi had no time to think about the azure dragon armor that had been passed down for hundreds of years being shattered. This was because the power of the fist had rushed into his internal organs. Pain, unimaginable pain, assaulted his mind and instantly swallowed Duan Muyi's consciousness. Duan Muyi opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Boom! Like a falling meteor, Duan Muyi landed heavily on the green belt in the middle of the coiling dragon overpass. With a loud sound, everyone within a 2-kilometer radius could feel the slight tremor. Chapter 271. In the middle of the coiling dragon overpass, there was a 10-meter-wide crater in the middle of the overpass. Duan Muyi was lying in the middle of the crater. Only a few pieces of the azure dragon armor were left on his body. Duan Muyi struggled to stand up, his mouth full of blood. Suddenly, a long shadow from the street lamp covered his face. Wang Lan stood calmly in front of him, looking at him coldly. At this moment, endless fear welled up in his heart. He could accept Wang Lan's angry gaze. He could even accept Wang Lan's angry rebuke. But he didn't. Wang Lan didn't even bother to talk to him. He only looked at him coldly. It was as if he was looking at a dead man. You can't kill me. If you kill me, you're finished. You have such a good future. Do you want to die with me? Just to take a gamble and destroy your life? I didn't have time to do anything to Jiang Sinyu. I didn't even touch her finger. It's not worth it for you to destroy your life like this. Thank you for thinking for me at this time, Wang Lan said coldly. Suddenly, his palm lit up. With a sharp sound of thunder, a snow-white lightning blade appeared. You've already beaten me up. No matter how angry you are, you should have vented your anger, right? You can't continue like this. If you continue, when I die, you'll be buried with me. Think about your family. Think about your friends. Wang Lan, don't kill him. Jiang Sinyu appeared beside Wang Lan. It's not worth it to sacrifice yourself for a scum. Duan Muyi immediately looked at Jiang Sinyu, touched, and nodded repeatedly. Just cripple his astral palace. With that, the star power around Jiang Sinyu surged. In an instant, a wind blade gathered in her palm and slammed down on Duan Muyi's chest. Duan Muyi, who had just been looking at her with gratitude, was now frightened and angry. Destroying the Star Palace was the harshest punishment for Takashi Hoshi. Takashi Hoshi was special. Even if his hands and feet were broken, he could still be healed by Takashi Hoshi. If the first time didn't work, he would do it many times. As long as you have the money and ability, you can hire the best medical doctor, Takashi Hoshi. However, destroying the Star Palace was equivalent to destroying everything Takashi Hoshi had. To turn a Takashi Hoshi back into an ordinary person, even the medical skills of Takashi Hoshi could no longer be used on him. Even if he survived, he would only become a cripple in the future. You're not kind-hearted. You're just vicious and merciless. Just as Jiang Sinyu's palm was about to reach Jiang Sinyu's Star Palace, a sharp attack suddenly shot towards Jiang Sinyu's back. Wang Lan instantly flashed and blasted a palm towards Jiang Sinyu's back. Boom! A figure flashed like a ray of light, instantly blocking Wang Lan's attack and shattering Jiang Sinyu's attack with one move. Boom! Jiang Sinyu's attack almost brushed past Duan Muyi and landed on the ground. Duan Muyi was blown away by the terrifying shockwave. A bottomless pit appeared under Jiang Sinyu's palm. In one move, he was able to block his own attack and deflect Jiang Sinyu's attack at the same time. The newcomer's strength was definitely the most difficult opponent Wang Lan had ever faced. In an instant, Wang Lan grabbed Jiang Sinyu and retreated rapidly. He only stopped when he was 10 meters away. In front of Duan Muyi, a young man wearing a white windbreaker landed. He was half-squatting, the cape behind him fluttering like a flag. Seeing the person's back, Duan Muyi's face instantly revealed an ecstatic smile. Duamafangwa, F***, you're finally here? Why didn't you wait for me to die before coming? F***, quick, kill him for me, kill him for me. Duan Muyi pointed at Wang Lan and yelled ferociously. Shut up, you almost got into big trouble. Duamafangwa shouted angrily, then turned to face Wang Lan and smiled. Student Wang Lan, student Jiang Xinyu, I am Duan Muyi's older brother, Duamafangwa. My younger brother was wrong. I apologize to you. Please forgive me. As he spoke, Duamafangwa bowed deeply to Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu. If an apology is useful, then what do we need the Heavenly Sword Bureau for? Wang Lan coldly replied. Today's matter is not something that can be resolved with just an apology. Wang Lan. Jiang Xinyu nervously grabbed Wang Lan's hand and asked. It's okay, don't be afraid. Wang Lan said softly. Hearing Wang Lan's words, Jiang Xinyu's heart immediately calmed down. She held Wang Lan's hand tightly. If worst came to worst, they would kill their way through together. However, Duanmu Fanghua's expression changed. Student Wang Lan, our Duanmu family will give you sufficient compensation. No need. F***CK, Duanmu Fanghua. Why the F***CK are you arguing with him? Attack. He broke our Azure Dragon battle armor. Bastard, just based on this point, it won't be enough even if he dies 100 times. What are you afraid of? If something happens, the Duanmu family will take care of it. Pa! A resounding slap landed on Duan Muyi's face. This slap stunned Duan Muyi. You dare to hit me? Why does the Duanmu family have an idiot like you? Take care of it? Can the Duanmu family take care of it? Do you know who he is? Although Duan Muyi's voice wasn't loud, it was like an enraged lion, pressuring Duan Muyi to the point that he couldn't say a word. Duanmu Fanghua slowly turned around and looked at Wang Lan. How do you plan to settle this matter? Name your price. Destroy his star palace. Wang Lan, where it's possible to make mistakes, one should spare them. This is my only condition. Otherwise, Wang Lan quietly put his hand into his pocket and pressed a button for help. Although Wang Lan knew that he couldn't push people too far, if he didn't destroy Duan Muyi today, Wang Lan wouldn't be able to take this lying down. Suddenly, Duanmu Fanghua's astral power surged. Wang Lan immediately went on alert. Puchi, blood splattered. Duanmu Fanghua's 4 fingers had pierced deep in his chest, causing blood to gush out. This scene scared the dumbfounded Duan Muyi so much that his face turned pale. Although Duan Muyi was a profligate, he wasn't stupid. With the Duanmu clan behind him, he could do whatever he wanted. However, for Duanmu Fanghua to compromise like this, and for Duanmu Fanghua to say that the Duanmu clan wouldn't be able to cover up for him, Wang Lan's identity was probably not as simple as he thought. Wang Lan, is this enough? Duanmu Fanghua stared at Wang Lan, panting. Wang Lan coldly looked at Duanmu Fanghua, whose chest was dyed red with blood, and shook his head. Puchi, with another sound, Duanmu Fanghua's 4 fingers pierced his left chest again. Blood splattered out again. What about now? Wang Lan shook his head again. Despair appeared on Duanmu Fanghua's face. He slowly pulled out his saber and held it under his armpit. Don't waste your energy. Even if you turn yourself into a stick, it's useless. I said that I only have one condition, and that is to destroy his star palace. Wang Lan, he is the young master of the Duanmu clan. If you destroy him, the Duanmu clan won't let this matter rest. Do you think that I will be afraid? Wang Lan laughed coldly. I really want to see how the Duanmu clan won't let this matter rest. Here. So. A few figures suddenly appeared. With Ruo Yun as the leader, a group of students appeared beside Wang Lan and Duanmu Fanghua. When Ruo Yun saw the scene in front of her, her expression changed. Student Wang Lan, student Duanmu, please calm down. I have already understood the cause and effect of this matter. The vice principal will be here soon, so please restrain yourselves. Different from Duanmu Fanghua, who heaved a sigh of relief, Wang Lan couldn't help but frown. Princess Yu, is this what you mean? No, I'm just passing on the vice principal's instructions. What about you? I don't care. I don't have the right to care. Student council, back off. President, the vice president is still here. Shut up. Right now, he is a participant. The student council is not allowed to interfere in this matter. Yu Ruoyun shouted and quietly stood to the side. As long as Yu Ruoyun didn't interfere, it would be the greatest help to Wang Lan. Wang Lan gave Yu Ruoyun a look of gratitude before turning his head to look at Duanmu Yi again. I don't want to waste time here. I will give you a minute to consider. Either you cripple his star palace, or I will properly settle the score with the Duanmu clan, who is causing trouble here. A dignified voice sounded. The vice principal walked out from the darkness with a face full of anger. When he heard that Cebu Gakuin's students fought in Imperial Entertainment and even destroyed their store, Nangong Meng's first reaction was that it was impossible. His students were all outstanding youths with well-developed morals, intelligence, physique, aesthetics, and labor. How could they fight in a KTV? But when he heard that the student council was mobilized, Nangong Meng finally believed that it was his students. In an instant, his rage level exploded. Who didn't know that what Nangong Meng cared about the most was the school's reputation? Whoever dared to smear the school's reputation, he wouldn't let them off easily. Arriving at the scene, Nangong Meng swept his gaze over Duanmu Fanghua. What happened to your injuries? Who hit you? No one. Teacher, it was me who did it. How could it be you? Weren't you at school just now? Is it your troublemaking younger brother again? Nangong Meng instantly determined that the troublemaker was Duanmu Yi, who was hiding behind Duanmu Fanghua. Anyways, it wasn't the first time Duanmu Yi had caused trouble. Stop messing around. If there is any conflict, the school will settle it. Go back. Duanmu Fanghua let out a long sigh of relief and pulled Duanmu Yi behind her to leave. I'll see who dares to leave. Wang Lan's low voice suddenly sounded. This caused Nangong Meng's face to turn ashen. Student Wang Lan, I already said that the school will handle this matter. I'm afraid the school won't be able to handle this matter. The school can handle any student's matter. Student Wang Lan, if you continue to be so unforgiving, I can punish you. The school can recruit you, but it can also expel you. Wang Lan laughed, laughing very mockingly. Slowly, Wang Lan took out his Heavenly Sword Bureau ID. This matter, the Heavenly Sword Bureau has interfered. Nangong Meng, I'm sorry, but I can't give you face. As he spoke, he pressed the help button. After seeing Wang Lan take out his Heavenly Sword Bureau ID, Duanmu Fanghua's face immediately changed. TCH, I thought it was something else. Heavenly Sword Bureau? The Heavenly Sword Bureau also has our people. Duanmu didn't know if his brain had been squashed by a door, but he couldn't stand Wang Lan's pretentious act and actually blurted out such stupid words. Shut up. Duanmu Fanghua angrily slapped Duanmu Yi to the ground again. Wang Lan, you said that as long as you destroyed his star palace, this matter would be over? Duanmu Fanghua's voice slightly trembled as he asked gloomily. As he spoke, thunder suddenly flashed in his hand, and a bolt of lightning gathered in his palm. Duanmu Fanghua, what are you doing? You dare touch me? I already said that you would harm the Duanmu family, but that old man didn't believe me. You can be stupid, but you can't drag the entire Duanmu family down with you. Forget it. Stop acting. Wang Lan sneered. If you really didn't want him to die, you would have destroyed his star palace long ago. Aren't you just waiting for me to show my Heavenly Sword Bureau ID? You obviously want him to die, but you act like I'm doing this for your own good. Isn't that disgusting? Chapter 272. Wang Lan's words caused Duanmu Fanghua's face to turn red. Behind her, Duanmu Yi was still in a daze. When Wang Lan took out the Heavenly Sword Bureau's ID, Vice President Nangong's face turned ashen. Wang Lan, do you know how much damage your actions will cause to the Academy's reputation? Let the Academy resolve its conflicts. Why? Vice President Nangong is right. Wang Lan smiled. As the saying goes, don't wash your dirty linen in public. It's good that you know. Quickly put away the ID. But this dirty linen is not my dirty linen. Wang Lan's smile suddenly changed. How can a scum like Duanmu enter Shanghai Cebu Gakuen? Vice President Nangong, I would like to ask you, what are the recruitment criteria of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen? How can they accept such a scum? Duanmu, he wasn't like this before, I'm afraid not. When Duanmu, he first came to Shanghai Cebu Gakuen, Ma Chuchu's incident happened. 2 years have passed since then. Do you think the Heavenly Sword Bureau really doesn't care about it anymore? The clues from that year have been completely erased. As the place where the incident happened, the Academy should have a more detailed record. But now, it has been completely deleted. Vice President Nangong, could it be that Shanghai Cebu Gakuen's surname is Duanmu? I could have given the Academy some face, but Vice President Nangong seems to be afraid of making a big deal out of it and wants to cover it up. This makes me very worried. First it was Ma Chu-Chu, then it was Jiang Xinyu. I'm afraid that more students will be harmed. This is not a small matter. Even D. Lao can't cover it up unless the Jade State's constitution is abolished first. You, here, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With the sound of wind breaking, more than 10 figures flashed from all directions and landed in the surroundings. What's going on? Shanghai Cebu Gakuen is also here? The leader was none other than the Heavenly Sword Bureau's operations director, Ming Yi. When Ming Yi saw Wang Lan, he hurried forward. Wang Lan, what's going on? Director, this person tried to kill a classmate, but he was seen through on the spot. I see that he's skilled, so he's probably a repeat offender. I'm afraid that he's taken several lives. When I was about to arrest him, this person tried to stop the suspect from escaping. He should be his accomplice. At this point, Wang Lan turned his head slightly and looked at the vice president. What Wang Lan said made Dean Nangong fly into a rage. What do you mean by trying to help the suspect escape? He's trying to mediate the conflict. Wang Lan, why are the two different things coming out of your mouth? Dean, you said that you would let them go first. I won't pursue this matter any further. As for that, Duanmu Fonghua, she stopped me from arresting the criminals many times and even fought with me. Her behavior is already very clear. Wang Lan, you're F*King slandering me. I just want F*CK her. When did I want to kill her? Takashi Hoshi's poison is fatal. Your poisoning of a classmate constitutes a motive for murder. If I hadn't come in time, I'm afraid that something would have happened. The Heavenly Sword Bureau will investigate the truth of the matter in detail. Director, are we arresting him? Arrest. Take him away. Ming Yi, I'm Duanmu Yi. My father is Duanmu Qingsong. You dare arrest me? It's useless even if your father is the Jade Emperor. Take him away. With the Heavenly Sword Bureau involved, this matter evolved from a conflict to a criminal case. Even Shanghai Cebu Gakuen couldn't stop it no matter how high his position was. Therefore, Dean Nangong could only watch as the Heavenly Sword Bureau took his disciple and Duanmu Yi away. The only person present who could intervene in this matter was Yuruyan. Therefore, Dean Nangong hurriedly looked at Yuruyan. However, Yuruyan acted as if she had nothing to do with it. She shook her head at Dean Nangong. Right, Lan Shi was brought back to the student union. She's an important participant. The Heavenly Sword Bureau can go to the student union and take her away. Got it. Wang Lan held Jiang Xinyu's hand and sat in the military vehicle. Along the way, Jiang Xinyu nervously grabbed Wang Lan's hand. The development of the matter seemed to be getting more and more complicated. Originally, Jiang Xinyu's thoughts were simple. The two of them fought together. Even if they failed, the two of them would kill the person together. They would bear the burden together and die together. However, now, it seemed that it was no longer a simple conflict between them and Duanmu Yi. It had escalated to a game between the Heavenly Sword Bureau, Cebu Gakuen, and the Duanmu family. Once it reached this level of complexity, Jiang Xinyu couldn't understand or see through it. Naturally, she felt uneasy in her heart. It's okay. Don't worry. To be honest, Wang Lan didn't know how big the Duanmu family was. It could be really big. It could be so big that it could make Shanghai tremble with a stomp of its foot. It could make the entire Jade State splash with waves. Even so, Wang Lan still dared to confront them directly. Wang Lan had a few reasons why he had to fight. First, Duanmu, he had already crossed the red line. If he didn't completely resolve it this time, Jiang Xinyu would be in danger. Therefore, Duanmu, he had to be crippled or die. He could have used Duanmu Fanghua to get rid of Duanmu Yi. As long as Duanmu Fanghua made a move, Wang Lan would have a witness to prove that it wasn't him. Don't talk nonsense. Even if the Duanmu family knew that it was Wang Lan who had threatened them, Wang Lan's identity was not to be trifled with. He was the son of Yin Emperor, the symbol of the younger generation of Yin Emperor's faction. Although this identity was very impressive, it wasn't the identity that gave Wang Lan the confidence. It was the identity of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The Duanmu family was very big and very impressive. However, no matter how big and impressive you were, could you be more impressive than the country? Duanmu Yi said, "Don't use the Heavenly Sword Bureau to scare people. I have people in the Heavenly Sword Bureau too." Wang Lan believed this, but Wang Lan definitely had more people in the Heavenly Sword Bureau than the Duanmu family. Who was Wang Lan? Was he just the son of Yin Emperor? This title was just an empty title. Wang Lan's real confidence was that he was the red-clothed elite captain of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. He was the only one whose name was remembered by the #1 chief. He was the only one who had dug out the demon spies 4 times in a year and started the Jade State counterattack against the demon spies. He, Wang Lan, was the only one who had received the Glorious Sun Medal before the age of 20. These achievements were real, and they were also achieved by Wang Lan's punches and kicks. Who was more important, Wang Lan or Duanmu Yi, in the eyes of the #1 chief and the Ministry of National Defense? So what if Duanmu Yi bet the entire Duanmu family? Wang Lan was sure that the Duanmu family might not be in trouble, but Duanmu Yi would definitely be finished. As for him, Wang Lan, he would definitely not lose. It was because of this that Wang Lan dared to face the Duanmu family head-on. It was because of this that Wang Lan dared to say no to Dean Nangong. It was also because of this that Duanmu Fanghua said, "Do you know who he is? Do you want to implicate the entire family? Do you think the Duanmu family can handle it?" Although Duanmu Fanghua's words seemed to be directed at Duanmu Yi, it was actually directed at Wang Lan. The meaning was clear. Wang Lan, don't be afraid. The Duanmu family can't deal with you. Don't be afraid of the Duanmu family's name. Don't be afraid. Kill this guy. Once he's dead, I can take over. Despicable family infighting. It was because he was disgusted by Duanmu Fanghua's hypocritical attitude that Wang Lan couldn't help but point out his sinister intentions. However, Wang Lan was very happy to fulfill Duanmu Fanghua's wish. The car started and he got in. "Wang Lan, what's the situation? Tell me in detail." Wang Lan wasn't very clear about the details of what happened today. He turned his head and looked at Jiang Xinyu. Jiang Xinyu's face was slightly red, but she quickly explained the cause and effect. It was very simple. Blue Flag wanted to rely on the Duanmu family. Hence, Duanmu Yi offered a condition. He invited Jiang Xinyu to Imperial Entertainment and secretly gave Jiang Xinyu a neurotoxin. If the plan went smoothly, he would take a video. Under the effects of Takashi Hoshi's toxin, Jiang Xinyu would be very proactive. Hence, there would be evidence of both parties being willing. The Takashi Hoshi's toxin would disappear without a trace after the effects of the drug wore off. Current technology couldn't detect it. This plan was perfect, but Duanmu Yi underestimated Jiang Xinyu. Even if she was poisoned by Takashi Hoshi's toxin, Jiang Xinyu could still use Takashi Hoshi's defensive skills to buy time. She also didn't expect that Jiang Xinyu's manicure wasn't just a simple manicure. She could control the phone remotely. She also didn't expect that Jiang Xinyu's phone had an AI that could automatically ask Wang Lan for help. The goal wasn't achieved, the plan was exposed, and the Takashi Hoshi's toxin was obtained by Jiang Xinyu on the spot. There was a complete chain of evidence for Duanmu Yi's actions. He couldn't quibble anymore. When she heard that Jiang Xinyu had a complete chain of evidence in her hands, Ming Yi laughed. "Well, that's not a problem. The Duanmu family is very powerful and has an immeasurable network in Jade State. But don't worry, Jade State doesn't rely on connections to do things. They do things according to the law. There's sufficient evidence this time. He won't be able to get away easily. Thank you, Director Ming. We're all on the same side. Don't be so distant. Back at the Heavenly Sword Bureau, Wang Lan took Jiang Xinyu to record the process. Wang Lan was very familiar with this process. Beep, beep, beep. Ming Ye's phone rang. She looked down at the phone number and smiled. Hello, Director Go. Haha, I haven't contacted you in a long time. What? This matter? This matter is not easy to handle. You can't ask me to neglect my duties, right? The Heavenly Sword Bureau is different from other departments. Dereliction of duty is punishable by military law. The Duanmu family? This matter is not easy to handle. The evidence is conclusive. Suppress it? I'm just a small director. How would I dare to suppress it? If the director asks me tomorrow, I'll say that I don't know and that the investigation hasn't been carried out. I can't do that. I'm just a worker. I can't make decisions. That's all. I'll treat you to a drink next time. Bye. Hello, Director Lee? Who are we? Is there a need to ask me for a favor? That's so distant. But if it's about the Duanmu family, then it's not easy to handle. I don't have enough power. Yes, I can't afford to offend the Duanmu family, but I can't afford to offend that person either. What? You don't know? If you don't know, then don't know. I can't say. Anyway, I'll just say that it's a crown prince. Yes, I advise you not to get involved. If you're involved in this matter, then get rid of it. We're all immortals. Let's just watch the show. In a Heavenly Sword Bureau, the phones of the directors of various departments were bombarded one after another. Even the director of the Shanghai Heavenly Sword Bureau, Cheng Jinlong's phone was the same. This night was destined to be a night of change. Meanwhile, in Shanghai Cebu Gakuen, Yu Ruoyun returned to her dormitory alone. There were originally 3 people in the dormitory, but today there was only 1 person left. Yu Ruoyun's expression kept changing. Suddenly, she let out a long sigh and took out her phone. Hello, inform all our media, news, and media to be in position immediately. Chapter 273. Bastards. They are all bastards. They usually take so many benefits from us, but when it comes to the crucial moment, they will shirk their responsibilities. Bastards. Duanmu Qingtsung angrily threw his mobile phone on the ground in the Duanmu family's antique-style building complex. The mobile phone was broken, and the scattered parts shot out in all directions like bouncing bullets. Master, what's wrong? Are they not willing to help? Humph. They are afraid of trouble. What do they mean by the other party has a big background and they can't suppress him? Even if one person can't suppress him, everyone can suppress him. Bastards, they are all a bunch of bastards. Big background? How big can it be? In Jade State, other than you family, who has a bigger background than us? Did he offend you family? No. Duanmu Qingtsung shook his head and sighed. He offended Yin Emperor's son. Yin Emperor's son? Yin Emperor has never married. How can he have Yin Emperor's son? He is not Yin Emperor's biological son, but a child adopted by Yin Emperor 16 years ago. Yin Emperor can only blame himself for hiding this child so well that no one knows about it for more than 10 years. Otherwise, after the 5 kings, why didn't I warn her to be careful? Ir also refused to change and even drugged his girlfriend. If he tolerates this, I'm afraid that the Flame Emperor's faction will abandon him. Yin Emperor adopted him? Since he is adopted, what are you afraid of? Although he is adopted, he is no different from Yin Emperor's biological son. That Wang Lan was brought up by Yin Emperor. When Yin Emperor went on a mission, he was also taken care of by Yin Emperor's sister. The Flame Emperor had never married in her entire life. A woman as strong as the Flame Emperor was both fortunate and unfortunate. Who in the world is worthy of Yin Emperor? The other 4 emperors were all at least 10 years older than Yin Emperor. I'm afraid it's unlikely that Yin Emperor will get married in this lifetime. So Wang Lan is Yin Emperor's only son. Even if the other party has a great background, our Duanmu clan shouldn't be afraid of them. The problem now is that Er's actions are all in their hands. If we didn't have any evidence, we could still do something. But with such irrefutable evidence, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for to escape. That Jiang Xinyu wasn't hurt. Wasn't an attempt. Can't we just go up to apologize and give in and double the compensation? Even if they don't give up, can they kill Ia? I wouldn't go so far as to kill Ia, but the heaviest punishment would be to strip the Takashi Hoshi of his identity for life. You know what that means. Cripple the Star Palace. That's right. If Ia is crippled and sent to the Star Palace, he won't be able to become the patriarch of the Duanmu clan. Therefore, at this time, the second and third branches were probably secretly laughing in their rooms. So no matter what, we have to bail Ia out. Why don't we beg Di Lao? What are you thinking? Di Lao is aloof from worldly affairs. Why would he care about this? Besides, if Di Lao intervened to help us, how would Yin Emperor's faction view this? Di Lao won't help us no matter what. The best situation is that he won't hit us when we're down. As long as Di Lao says a word in support of Wang Lan, the difficulty of protecting her will increase by at least 10 times. Old Master, I remember that Feng Hua was also there when the incident happened, right? Suddenly, Madam's eyes turned as an idea surfaced in her mind. Feng Hua, do you mean replace Feng Hua with Ir? To say that Feng Hua did all these things and that Feng Hua instigated it. This way, Ir is only helping and not the main culprit. We'll bail him out and then send him to school overseas. After 5 to 10 years, when the limelight has passed, we'll let him return to the country. Feng Hua, Duanmu Qingsang's expression was somewhat unsightly. But looking at Madam's increasingly gloomy face, he immediately nodded. Okay, we'll do as you say. I'll talk to Feng Hua. It was already very late at night, and the sky was dotted with stars. Duanmu Feng Hua walked out of the Duanmu clan's encampment with an indifferent expression, but his bleeding palm exposed his mood, and it was definitely not as calm as his face showed. As long as you admit that you instigated I will use the Duanmu clan's power to ensure your safety. After 3 years, I will move you back to the clan and establish your own branch with the status of a direct descendant. Ha ha! Ha ha! Suddenly, Duanmu Feng Hua looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. Duanmu Qingsang, do you think I'm stupid? Do you really think I'm stupid? You already planned to use me to exchange for Duanmu E. You already used me as a scapegoat. Do you still think I'll believe that you'll protect me with all your might? Ha ha! We're both your sons, and I'm also your flesh and blood. But in your eyes, I'm not even comparable to an ordinary Duanmu clansman. No, I'm not even comparable to a dog. Because dogs can have the surname Duanmu, but I don't even have the right to have the surname Duanmu. Duanmu Qingsang. Let me tell you, Duanmu E is dead meat. I will personally take back everything that belongs to me, everything. The night passed, and for many people, it was a very difficult night. But even if it was a difficult night, dawn would always come. Hello, audience friends. Now we're broadcasting the morning news. Last night, a terrible campus crime happened at Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. Shanghai Cebu Gakuen's close combat department student, Duanmu E, attempted to do something to a freshman. Hello, audience friends. Today's topic, let's talk about a person, the young patriarch of the Duanmu clan. Why does Duanmu E dare to be so unscrupulous? Why does he dare to extend his evil claws to a fellow student of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen? As everyone knows, what kind of people can enter Shanghai Cebu Gakuen? Which one of them isn't stunning? And which one of them isn't a genius Takashi Hoshi? Behind this incident, we can't help but start to reflect. Is this a spur-of-the-moment accident? Or is it inevitable? Is it a common occurrence? Or is it an exception? From Shanghai Cebu Gakuen students, we learned that Duanmu Yi's reputation is polarized. But after doing a comparison, we found that those who have a good impression of Duanmu Yi are those who have joined an organization called the Student Mutual Assistance Association. This organization is very large, occupying 1/5 of the Cebu Gakuen's population. And those who haven't joined this organization don't have a good impression of Duanmu Yi. This made me think about the nature of this organization. Is it really a mutual assistance among fellow students? Or is it a gang that forms a force like the underworld? Early in the morning, the firepower of the news media exploded. Jade State's major news, media, self-media, and new media all rushed to report this incident. But they seemed to have a tacit understanding. Duan Muyi's name frequently appeared, but the victim's name never appeared. All the topics revolved around Duan Muyi's behavior and the courage behind it. This time, Duan Muyi became popular, and the Duanmu family became even more popular. Who is it? Who is adding fuel to the fire? Old who? Ban these media, ban all of them. What? I can't ban them? Why? Duanmu Qingsong put down his newly bought mobile phone with a blank expression. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The phone was crushed in an arc of electricity, announcing the end of its life in less than a day. Master, what's going on? Who dares to cause trouble for us? The royal family, the Yu family. The Yu family? Why? Even if we are no longer part of the Dragon Protection Clan, we have been calling ourselves one of the 4 Dragon Protection Clans for the past 200 years. Even if the other Dragon Protection Clans have disappeared, we have never betrayed the Yu family. Why did the Yu family do this? They say that distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. Our Duanmu family has followed the Yu family for 600 years. 600 years. You're asking me? How would I know? But these media are all controlled by the Yu family behind the scenes. The Yu family, the Yu family. I understand. Understand? The Yu family wants a rope in Yin Emperor's faction. In recent years, Yin Emperor has been claiming that he is taken on a mysterious long-term mission, and he rarely appears. Yin Emperor's faction has been leaderless for a long time. But even without Yin Emperor's faction is still growing. On the contrary, Emperor Qing's faction has always been restricted because of their royal status, and they are often suppressed by the upper class. He is sending an alliance signal to Yin Emperor's faction. So, we are facing the suppression of Yin Emperor and Emperor Qing's factions. Speaking of this, Lady Duanmu's face suddenly turned pale with fright. Yin Emperor's faction alone was enough to make them choke. Now, with Emperor Qing's faction, the Duanmu family couldn't resist at all. The only thing we can do now is to find a way to protect Yi-Er's Star Palace. Even if we are found guilty and sentenced to 10 years, we can accept it as long as we can protect the Star Palace. While all the factions were fighting over this matter, Wang Lan was sitting calmly outside the Heavenly Sword Bureau's interrogation room. Jiang Xinyu leaned on Wang Lan's shoulder and took a nap. Now, she was wrapped in a blanket and leaning on Wang Lan's shoulder. At the end of October, the temperature difference between day and night was huge. Jiang Xinyu was wearing a sleeveless long dress, so it was still very cold at night. Wang Lan happened to be a fire-type Takashi Hoshi, so his astral power flowed and automatically warmed the room. Speaking of which, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were a perfect match. When the two of them worked together, they were the standard air conditioner that was warm in winter and cool in summer. The fighting outside is almost over, Mingyi opened the door and said. Seeing Jiang Xinyu sleeping on Wang Lan's shoulder, he suddenly stopped talking. But at this moment, Jiang Xinyu was already awake. Seeing Jiang Xinyu wake up, Mingyi smiled apologetically. Sorry to disturb your rest. No. How did it go? Wang Lan asked. The Yu family attacked the Duanmu family in one move. The Duanmu family has already given up on suppressing this matter. Now, their main focus is to protect Duanmu Yi's Star Palace. It doesn't matter how many years he's sentenced to. Is it likely that he destroyed Duanmu Yi's Star Palace? Mingyi frowned and shook his head. It's not likely. After all, Jiang Xinyu wasn't hurt. She didn't even hurt a finger. In this situation, no matter how bad Duanmu Yi's plan was, it was still a failed attempt. Destroying his Star Palace is the most serious punishment for his crime. It will only be carried out if he angers the public and causes a negative impact. Based on the incident itself, he'll only be sentenced to 3 years at most. Then it's fine, Jiang Xinyu said calmly. 3 years later, I won't be who I am now. 3 years later, even the Duanmu family will have to take me seriously. I'll settle this score personally in the future. I have unlimited room for growth in the future. No, Wang Lan shook his head. It's never too late for a woman to take revenge. However, we men have bad memories. 3 years later, we might not remember and we might not care. Otherwise, we can kill him now. 3 years later, who will remember this shrimp? Chapter 274. What do you want? Don't act recklessly. Ming Ye's expression changed. Even if you have the upper hand now, we have to follow the law. The law is everyone's limit. Uncle Ming, what are you thinking? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Duanmu Yi is so skilled. Do you think this is his first time committing a crime? You want to dig out something else from Duanmu Yi's mouth? Don't even think about it. We can't even torture him. Otherwise, we'll give him an excuse to bail out for medical treatment. There's no need to torture him. It just so happens that I've learned spiritual imprint, and my level is decent. Just dig it out from his brain. Don't mess around. If you forcefully imprint him, he'll become an idiot. Originally, you don't have any responsibility, but if you make him an idiot, you might even be blamed. I'm more confident in my spiritual imprint. Even the school's professor Zheng said it's good. But I need the help of an illusion master. As he spoke, Wang Lan took out his phone and dialed a number. Wucheng, are you awake? Damn, Wang Lan, you're amazing. Even daring to mess with the Duanmu family's hornet's nest? I'm convinced, I'm completely convinced. Not only do you dare to mess with the Duanmu family, you can even mess with the royal family. Tell me, how did you do it? Let's not talk about this first. I want to ask you for a favor. What favor? Help me cast an illusion on Duanmu Yi. Let me smoothly enter his brain. Can you do it? No problem. I'll wait for you at the school gate. Send someone to pick me up. You agreed so easily? Seems like you're not afraid of the Duanmu family. The Duanmu family is amazing, but my Mingwe family might not be afraid of them. Besides, it's just a favor. The Duanmu family won't vent their anger on me. With you and the Yu family in front of me, what's there to be afraid of? After putting down the phone, Wang Lan smiled and said to Mingyi, I have a classmate from Sioux City's Mingwe family called Maigetsu Castle. Send someone to the school gate to pick him up. Mingyi looked at Wang Lan deeply and nodded his head. Okay. Although there was no other expression on his face, he was already amazed in his heart. Yao Yi originally thought that Wang Lan's network hadn't started to be established yet. After all, his identity had only been announced for 2 months. Because of this, he thought of a way to arrange for his son to be in the same dormitory as Wang Lan, hoping that his son could become Wang Lan's right-hand man. However, he suddenly realized that he had overlooked something. Real gold would not stop shining just because it was hidden in the sand. Even without the identity of Yin Emperor's son, Wang Lan was still a shining piece of gold. It was just that it was a little small. Since it was glowing gold, how could it not be discovered? How could he not be noticed? How could there not be a group of heroes gathered around him? If Jiang Xinyu, Su Xiangwen, and the others still relied on the fact that they had grown up together, the Mingwei clan would be different. The Mingwei clan of Sioux City was a first-rate Takashi Hoshi family in Jade State. They were famous for their illusions and were well known throughout the world. Maigetsu Castle and Wang Lan were on good terms because they were classmates. But was it really all? Wang Lan had so many classmates, and Maigetsu Castle had so many classmates. How did they become friends? Mingyi could only think of one word: investment. Wang Lan didn't have to wait for long. In less than an hour, Maigetsu Castle was transferred to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The Heavenly Sword Bureau was mysterious and powerful. Generally, Takashi Hoshi would have some restrictions when entering the Heavenly Sword Bureau. However, Maigetsu Castle didn't. His body and expression were very natural. In the interrogation room, Duanmuyi looked at the two people in front of him with a blank expression. Don't waste your energy. I won't say a word before my family's lawyer arrives. Do you think this is the police station? Lawyer? Tell us the truth, and you'll suffer less. Aren't you tired after a night of torment? I know the procedures of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Lawyers can't enter, but family representatives can. I won't say a word before I see the Duanmu clan's people. So you're bullshitting now. Wang Lan's voice sounded. Opening the door, Wang Lan and Maigitsuk Castle entered the interrogation room one after the other. Seeing Wang Lan, Duanmui's eyes showed fear. It was a strong contrast to his arrogant and domineering attitude last night. At this point, the fact that his family couldn't get him out of here for a night was very telling. Plus, what Duanmu Fanghua said last night made Duanmui start to reevaluate Wang Lan. He was definitely not as simple as his initial investigation made him out to be. Otherwise, how could an ordinary person with a little money and no background dare to challenge the Duanmu clan? Even if he had the identity of the Heavenly Sword Bureau, it wouldn't be enough. Wucheng, let's begin. Instantly, Maigitsuk Castle looked at Duanmui. Thump! There was a violent heartbeat, and Duanmui's eyes suddenly became dull. Obviously, the illusion had been successfully cast. But Mingyi, who came with him, changed his expression and was speechless. As expected of an elite disciple of the Bright Moon clan, there were no signs of him casting the illusion. In fact, there wasn't even a trace of astral power. He was just a nebula, but a Star-Sea realm cultivator like him didn't even notice. Powerful, not just ordinarily powerful. Wang Lan came in front of Duanmui and reached out his hand to cover Duanmui's head. Mental power surged, and his mind instantly invaded Duanmui's mind. At this moment, Duanmui had already sunk into endless fear. Maigitsuk Castle's illusion was called Death's Gaze. Those who were hit by this illusion would have their lives reclaimed by the ghosts of the people they killed. Even if they didn't kill anyone, they would be entangled by the bad things they had done. In repentance, they would feel the pain of their soul being burned. This attack was on the soul level, so there would be no injuries to the body. When Duanmui was trapped in the illusion, his mental power was controlled by Maigitsuk Castle, and then Wang Lan could smoothly connect with his mental power. Once the connection was completed, invading the brain became a matter of course. Duanmui, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Give me back my life. It wasn't me. It was obviously you who committed suicide. Don't look for me. There are so many men in the world. Why do you want to recognize me? Duanmui, I died so miserably. You asked for it. Who told you to be so unforgiving? Your sister committed suicide. She committed suicide. What does it have to do with me? You still want to appeal? The case has been decided. Why do you want to appeal? Isn't it good to have 2 million? Why do you have to go against me? Duanmui, come down with me and be my son-in-law. I'm afraid you won't let me go. I just want to end all future troubles. Don't come over. I won't go. Duanmui, what about me? You know too many things about me. Didn't I just pick up your girlfriend? She's just a muggle. Anyone can play with her, but you actually fell out with me? You know so many things about me. If you don't die, how can I sleep? One by one, vengeful spirits surrounded Duanmui. On the other side, Wang Lan had already successfully extracted Duanmui's memory, and he was holding a soul bead in his hand. With a burst of cyan star power, the memory image turned into a cloud of dust and slowly floated into the soul bead. After 10 minutes, the memory engraving was completed. All right, remove the illusion. Maigitsuk Castle gently snapped his fingers, and instantly, Duanmui, who was sweating profusely, stood up as if he had just woken up from a dream. But because his wrists were cuffed, he fell back into the chair again. What's going on? What did you do to me? Duanmui looked in horror at Maigitsuk Castle, who was sweating profusely and constantly wiping his sweat. There was a feeling in the dark, a very ominous feeling. You can't remember what you did, so I'll help you recall. Maigitsuk Castle's smile was so warm, but in Duanmui's eyes, it was as terrifying as a demon. Wang Lan slowly opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his face. This is the memory engraving of Duanmui's sins. Humph! What he did is enough for him to die 7 or 8 times. You engraved my memory? Impossible. Why didn't I know? It's fake. Ma Chuchu died because of you, and in order to eliminate all future troubles, you actually plotted to kill her younger brother, who was still in his first year of university and even used a car accident to kill his whole family. What's more abominable is that you used drugs and videos to violate more than 10 girls over the years, and 8 of them were still underage, Wang Lan said, and turned to Ming Yi. Behind the oil painting in his villa, there's a secret compartment which hides the videos he took over the years. All right, I'll send someone to get it. Now that we have conclusive evidence, what's the next step? Of course, we'll hold an internal management meeting. Internal management meeting? Wang Lan asked, puzzled. It's a major case that can't be handed over to the court, and the Heavenly Sword Bureau can't independently deal with it. It'll be handed over to the Provincial Heavenly Sword Bureau, and then the Provincial Heavenly Sword Bureau will initiate it, and the Provincial Standing Committee will discuss and pass a judgment. Just right. Shanghai is a municipality directly under the central government, so we can discuss and pass a judgment directly. Will the Duanmu family take advantage of this? What are you thinking? The Municipal Standing Committee isn't something the Duanmu family can control. The news outside was bombarded by the media, and the whole incident quickly became a trending topic. The Duanmu family was busy putting out the fire, but how could they be faster than the fire? They had just saved one place, and 10 more places were immediately burned. Half a day later, not only was the Duanmu family pushed to the heart of the storm, but Shanghai was also pushed to the heart of the storm. Bureau Chief Chung, I'm Kai Xin. What's going on? Are there still no results? The number 1 chief personally called me to ask what's going on. I'm still in the dark. What trouble did the Duanmu family get into? Why are there so many people adding fuel to the fire? From the people, the military, the bureaucracy, and even the space exploration? What? Need to discuss and pass a judgment? Didn't they not succeed? Nothing happened to the girl, right? Can't this be settled privately? Okay, I'll inform the standing committee right away. We'll discuss and pass a judgment at 1 p.m. today. This fire was burning so big. With the continuous bombardment and the big shots sparing no effort, the whole country knew that there was a Duanmu family in Shanghai, and that the Duanmu family had an arrogant and despotic playboy who did whatever he wanted. But no one noticed that no one other than the main character, Duanmu Yi, appeared. Even the name of the victim didn't appear. At 1 p.m., the judgment discussion was held in the municipal office's conference room. All 5 members of the Shanghai Standing Committee were present. When Kai Xian saw that everyone was present, he coughed lightly. Bureau Chief Chung, come and tell us about the matter. Comrades, the cause of the matter was that Duanmu Yi poisoned a freshman student, Jiang Mao, with Takashi Hoshi. He wanted to use the poison to control Jiang Mao and take the opportunity to violate him. But the plot was exposed, and Duanmu Yi was arrested by the Heavenly Sword Bureau. After the Heavenly Sword Bureau's investigation, it was found that this wasn't the first time Duanmu Yi had committed a crime. Before this, he had committed 17 crimes in the same way. Many victims were forced to swallow their anger because of Duanmu Yi's family power and threats. Chapter 275. It took Chung Jianlong half an hour to explain Duanmu Yi's crimes. After hearing this, even the experienced big shots all had expressions of disbelief on their faces. Even a movie wouldn't dare to shoot this kind of plot. In order to prevent future trouble, he didn't hesitate to silence his family. Not only did he humiliate his friend's girlfriend, but he also killed and disposed of her body to prevent the matter from being exposed. Was he still human? How could there be such a beast hiding in broad daylight? Kai Ixin bellowed angrily after a long while. Duanmu Yi's crimes are enough to be executed 10 times. Director Chun, is the chain of evidence sufficient? The evidence is irrefutable. It was all imprinted in Duanmu Yi's mind. The relevant material evidence has been collected. There's a video of Duanmu Yi committing the crime. Then what are we talking about? Death penalty. But the Duanmu family is not a small family. Won't executing Duanmu Yi cause unrest in the Jade State? Director Zhong, the Jade State is already in turmoil. If we don't give the people an explanation, where's the dignity of the country? Where's the dignity of the law? Director Li is right. Most importantly, We have to give an explanation to those who are waiting for justice. I agree with Director Li and Director Dong. We have to deal with it severely and not tolerate it. The Heavenly Sword Bureau will carry out the death penalty. We only need to announce the results to the public. There's no need to disclose the details, especially the victims' families. But we must warn them not to spread the news. Okay, I'll go back and deal with it. The Heavenly Sword Bureau's style of work had always been fast, accurate, and ruthless. After getting the results and the document signed by the discussion group, Cheng Jianlong returned to the Heavenly Sword Bureau with the document. When he opened the door, he saw Wang Lan and Ming Yi looking at him. The results of the meeting are out. The death penalty will be carried out immediately. While saying this, Cheng Jianlong looked at Wang Lan deeply. It wasn't fear or a warning, but a hint of relief and approval. In the world of Takashi Hoshi, there was no such thing as repaying evil with good and winning people over with good. If it was, it would be the kind that had the word virtue engraved on it. The world of Takashi Hoshi was all about decisiveness. They had all crawled out from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, so they couldn't afford to be soft-hearted. When one had the upper hand, unless the outcome of the battle was completely decided, one must pursue and attack relentlessly. Requite evil with good, and how to requite good. Even if Wang Lan let Duanmu Yi off, Duanmu Yi would not feel grateful. Therefore, no one would say that Wang Lan was cruel and merciless when he did what Wang Lan did. On the contrary, they would praise Wang Lan for being calm and steady and having the bearing to accomplish great things. Who's carrying out the execution? Wang Lan suddenly asked. What? You want to do it yourself? I have experience. When I was in Sioux City, Forget it. If you do it yourself, other than feeling good for a moment, it will also cause trouble. We have people who specialize in carrying out the death penalty. Just watch. Actually, I'm not afraid of trouble. But we can't get involved in unnecessary trouble. Although Duanmu Yi is dead, don't forget that there's still the Duanmu family. On the surface, it looks like you've won. But did you really win? No, it's those people who are supporting you behind your back. Hearing Cheng Jianlong's warning, Wang Lan immediately stood at attention and saluted Cheng Jianlong. I understand. Thank you, Chief. No need to thank me. Remember, you're the country's hero. That's why the country protected you when you were in trouble. This morning, the #1 chief personally called the city's mayor to ask about this matter. If you want to thank, do more for the country. The country is everyone's, especially you young people's. Especially you, Wang Lan. The country has high hopes for you. This subordinate understands. On the execution ground, 5 adjudicators wearing white protective suits and death masks stood in the middle of the execution ground. The afternoon sun was so bright, and the temperature was as high as 30 degrees. It was supposed to be hot, but Duanmu Yi didn't feel hot at all. Instead, he was shivering from the cold. If it wasn't for 2 Heavenly Sword Bureau soldiers supporting him, he wouldn't even be able to stand properly. Cold sweat the size of beans kept dripping down. Where's this place? Where's this? What are you doing? What are you going to do to me? You're already here, and you still don't know what to do. One of the Heavenly Sword Bureau's red-clothed captain sneered. Duanmu Yi, you have committed rape, murder, and endangering national security. The Shanghai Standing Committee has decided to sentence Duanmu Yi to death and deprive him of his human rights for life. What? You want to kill me? Impossible. How can you kill me? I'm the young master of the Duanmu family. My family has done meritorious deeds for the country. We have done great deeds for the war. Duanmu Yi cried out. That's right. The Duanmu family has indeed done great deeds for the Jade State. But you didn't. Not only did you not contribute to the country, but you also brought shame to the Duanmu family. You deserve to die. Execute, no. Following a shrill scream, Duanmu Yi's voice came to an abrupt end. Punishing the hedonistic son of a rich family. Reward, 10,000 experience points, 800 skill points. In his mind, the system notification rang out, and Duanmu Yi was only worth 10,000 experience points and 800 skill points. He might as well have spent an hour to develop 2 vaccines for the Takashi Hoshi poison. In an instant, Wang Lan's brows furrowed. Because when he accepted the mission regarding Ma Chu-Chu, because of the illusion, there was no notification saying that he had completed it. Instead, the mission was still in progress. What's going on? Could it be Duanmu Yi wasn't the mastermind behind this? That's impossible. Duanmu Yi's memories were clear. Duanmu Yi had used a similar method to get Ma Chu-Chu. The only difference was that Ma Chu-Chu had accepted her fate and dated Duanmu Yi for more than a year. But when the Duanmu family found out, Duanmu Yi and Ma Chu-Chu broke off their relationship. Not long after, Ma Chu-Chu committed suicide. From the information, Ma Chu-Chu was... Wait, Ma Chu-Chu committed suicide because Duanmu Yi broke up with her? And Duanmu Yi did it because of the Duanmu family. No way. You want me to take revenge for you? You want me to overturn the entire Duanmu family? Thanks for thinking so highly of me. Goodbye. To overturn Duanmu Yi, Wang Lan had to rely on the power behind him and the decisive evidence. To overturn the entire Duanmu family, Wang Lan had to at least become a national leader, right? Forget about it for the next 10 years. Duanmu Yi was executed, but the news didn't spread. Even the Duanmu family was busy trying to put out the fire. They were still holding on to a glimmer of hope. As long as the public opinion wasn't too strong, Duanmu Yi would at most be sentenced to 10 years. Unless it became the focus of the public's attention, the government would be forced to punish him severely. In the afternoon, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu returned to school. After sending Jiang Xinyu to the entrance of the dormitory, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu said goodbye to each other. From this incident, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu felt that their relationship seemed to have changed. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu both understood what this change was, but neither of them pointed it out. Even if they knew that as long as one of them pointed it out, the two of them would naturally become a couple. But until they parted, both of them tacitly chose to wave goodbye and turn to leave. Walking on the road, Jiang Xinyu tightly bit her sexy lips. Blockhead, don't tell me you want this lady to take the initiative to say it? Oomph. Wang Lan was thinking about another problem. I'm too familiar with her, so I'm embarrassed to say it. If Xiangwen Feiyu knew, he would be laughed at as a beast. Sigh. Probably the only one in the group of 5 who didn't realize that Jiang Xinyu had always liked Wang Lan was Wang Lan. Pushing open the door of the dormitory, a proud figure was doing body exercises in front of the mirror. Hearing the door open, Yurian turned around and looked at Jiang Xinyu. You're back. Are you okay? I'm fine. Sorry. That day, I came late. I shouldn't have let you be alone. Yurian suddenly looked at Jiang Xinyu with a guilty expression. This scene caused Jiang Xinyu to be taken aback. How can I blame you for this? Lan Qi and Duanmu Yi schemed against me. Also, you've already helped me a lot. I knew that Lan Qi was a bit vain, but I really didn't think that he would harm you. If I wasn't on duty that day, I didn't expect it either. And if you weren't on duty that day, they wouldn't have done anything. They just took advantage of the fact that you were on duty. I really don't blame you. In fact, I'm very grateful to you. Also, I heard from Wang Lan that if you didn't help us in the dark, we would have met with more resistance. Thank you so much. Why don't you join my student council? Be in the same group as me. I won't let the same thing happen again. Jiang Xinyu smiled sweetly and vaguely refused. That's true. After this incident, I don't think anyone would dare to do anything to you. All right, what happened to Duanmu Yi in the end? Dead, Jiang Xinyu said casually and went back to her room. She picked up her clothes and prepared to take a shower. But Yurian, who was left in the living room, suddenly narrowed her eyes. It wasn't that she found it unbelievable, but she was shocked that Wang Lan was so decisive. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he did, he was ruthless. But thinking about it, since they had already offended the Duanmu family, it didn't matter if they left a way out or not. They had already made an enemy, so they wouldn't be grateful. Compared to Jiang Xinyu's dull dormitory, Wang Lan returned to his dormitory and enjoyed a soldier's triumphant return. He Jing even bought some firecrackers. When she saw Wang Lan appear, she immediately got ready. The moment Wang Lan opened the door, she set off the firecrackers, making Wang Lan not know whether to laugh or cry. Brother Lan is mighty, Brother Lan is domineering. You faced the Duanmu family head-on and retreated unscathed. Brother Lan is really worthy of being our second-generation's flag-bearer. In the future, who would dare to say that our Yin Emperor's line is weak? Come on, I didn't sleep for a day and night. I'm sleepy. Also, today is Sunday, right? There's an internal inspection tomorrow. Don't expect me to help you clean up what you created. These are all small matters. Speaking of which, what price did the Duanmu family pay? Ming Guodong asked curiously. Pay what? Do they count human lives? Human lives? Who? Ming Guodong was stunned and didn't understand. Who else could it be? I'm going to sleep. With that, Wang Lan entered the room and locked the door. Not long after the last roommate arrived, he rented a house outside and moved out. So this room was Wang Lan's alone. Hiss! Suddenly, there was a sound of cold air being sucked in. Duanmu, E is dead. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.